So we got Texas represented on Shannon's hoodie. We got Oklahoma State. And we got the Spurs. Woo! It is Friday, thank goodness. What a big weekend. Hector Gomez, first man in. Good morning, Hector Gomez. Foam foot 420. Look at that. Amber says, check the tape. I said the Cowboys would win 28-14. It was 27-17. That's a pretty darn good prediction. Congratulations. We're going to have to start consulting with you on our weekend football picks. John Williams from Dallas. Good morning, John. Jeff Pacheco Sr. Good morning, Jeff. So let me see. What did Fitbit say? I don't think I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Let me check Fitbit. I did the West Coast Spurs broadcast. According to Fitbit, I just missed that's not readable. 2 hours and 56 minutes of sleep. Woo! So you want to go into radio, kid, for the high pay and sleep? 2 hours and 56. That ain't healthy. Thank God the Cowboys and the Spurs won, or I would be extra cranky this morning on my less than 3 hours of sleep. Sam Tobias, good morning. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning. Here we go. If I fall asleep, Shannon, just wake me up. You hear snoring on this side of the microphone. Yeah, but Amber, you're young. You can, you're built for it. I used to pull all-nighters like they were nothing.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, and praise be to the sports gods on high who look down upon us and shower us with football blessings as they did last night as America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, overcome not only the New Orleans Saints, not only my bad feelings going into that game, but, and I didn't know this till I turned the game on, Shannon Salty Sweeney, they overcome the blue jersey jinx. When I turned on that television and saw blue jerseys, Shannon, I was freaking out. Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. But Shannon, you had a good feeling about the game, and your good feeling prevailed. Cowboys moved to 8-4, get a little separation, at least for now, from the Washington football team in the NFC East.
Yeah, I was going into this game glass half full, and just like you, I didn't realize we were wearing the blue jerseys. I feel like I should have, because I know last week we were wondering if they would break them out for Thanksgiving, and I ended up seeing that they were coming at some point, just didn't realize it would be so soon. And like you, I turned on the game. I turned it on about 10 minutes before kickoff, and I guess they didn't show the Cowboys, or I wasn't paying attention because I was only seeing Saints players when they were discussing the teams, and I saw them in all white color rush uniforms. I was like, that's interesting. I wonder what the Cowboys are wearing. And then it started to hit me that, like, well, the only other thing that wouldn't be Cowboys color rush, which they do white on white as well, would be those blue jerseys. And sure enough, but like we say, it's a curse, and there are trends and curses, and in those trends,
Yes.
So a win doesn't necessarily change the curse and the trend that we know, but it feels good to not only get the win, but do it in said blue jerseys.
And somebody tweeted yesterday that they're going to wear blue jerseys next week as well. I don't know that officially. Yeah, I know that's from a Cowboy fan. I know it's not official, but I will freak out again. So I'm pulling up, and if you believe, Shannon, that the Cowboys can take care of business in the NFC East, and I would say they're not, because it's the NFC East, because it's divisional games, because all these teams know each other. I can't imagine they're going to run the table in the NFC East in these final games. But I mean, if they do, I would love to be pleasantly surprised. Cowboys' final games. So next week is at Washington. So if this fan is correct, blue jerseys next week at Washington. So final games are at Washington, at the Giants, home against Washington. So 2 out of 3 weeks will settle the whole Washington thing. Then 2 weeks left. Then home against the Cardinals. That'll actually be on the 2nd of January in 2022, believe it or not, but still less than a month from now. This is December 3rd. And close out the season at Lincoln Financial Field at the Eagles. If you believe you can sweep the NFC East, and you said this yesterday, Shannon, I don't know if you were drinking early in the day, enjoying some margaritas in the morning on the show. You said the Cowboys would run the table, including the Saints last night. You are one down and 5 to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left in the season. I would love it. I hope you're right. I would. Yeah. I'll dance in the streets if that happens.
Yeah, you got to go 1-0. Yeah, I just pulled up the Dallas Cowboys uniform tracker, which is actually a Twitter handle, and they've got the complete.
I didn't even know about that.
And all of the jerseys, and I forget that we started the season in the blue jerseys, lost that first
and a loss.
We then played the Chargers, won that one in the blue jerseys, and since then it's been the classic white and regular blue. We do have the blue, or they're calling navy jerseys again against Washington for their next matchup. And then it's white on the way out, except for that game versus Arizona. I don't know how you feel about these. That are going to be a color rush game for the Cowboys. So it's going to be the white, but with the navy accents, not that normal blue we're used to seeing.
All right. Yeah, I still don't like those either. And I know Jerry Jones is all about the money. So great. We just lost a camera here. I know Jerry Jones is all about the money. Nothing like everything going wrong first thing in the morning. I know Jerry Jones is all about the money, Shannon. So obviously the Cowboys have multiple jerseys and they sell those jerseys, right. And Jerry Jones makes a ton of money off of those jerseys. But the Cowboys have the most iconic look in all of football. You know, that the white, and the reason it happened, for people who are not old like me who don't know, Tex Schramm, who was the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, for 2 reasons. Back in the Cotton Bowl days, he realized, A, it's hot in Texas. So when you wear a dark jersey like the blue ones, you're hotter. You're like 3 or 4 degrees hotter as a player in those jerseys. But he also said that he wanted the Cowboys fans, and remember, the Cowboys weren't a winning team until 1966. They came online in 1960. He wanted the Cowboys fans to see the colors of the other teams in the league. This was unheard of because the NFL, if you were home back in the day, you wore your colors. If you're the Bears, you wore the dark color, whatever it was, green for Green Bay. So ever since then, the Cowboys created this look with the white jersey and the grayish pants and just the coolest look and the greatest helmet in football with that lone star on it. So it drives me crazy anytime they're not in like the traditional Tom Landry, Tex Schramm, Roger Staubach white jerseys, but that's the way it goes. Get off my lawn. There's my first old man rant of the morning, and I haven't even said gravitas yet. Apparently, that's the new drinking game, according to Jason Paniagua.
Whatever you're having.
I know.
But you know, I agree. Jerry, being the money guy he is, and because the Cowboys do typically wear that white jersey as much as possible, he does have to find ways to kind of add a little spice, add a little flair to get people excited and to keep purchasing jerseys. I haven't checked. Have they added? I need to check right now if they've added Trayvon Diggs to the official.
Ooh, they better.
Website. That was huge at the beginning of the season, that you still had to get a custom made jersey to get his number and name on the back. And again, last night, that Cowboys defense arguably won the game for him with 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. But Trayvon Diggs had multiple opportunities, finally got his. That dude stays winning, sir.
Well, and that pick 6 that you reference that the Cowboys got, the Cowboys now, they were tied with the New England Patriots on pick 6s. And so they were three each going into last night. So when the Cowboys get the pick 6, that now took them to 4. So the Cowboys have the most pick 6s in all of the NFL, which what I love is, this defense was so god awful a year ago. And by the way, let me credit, it was Carlos Watkins late fourth quarter on the 29-yard pick 6 of Taysom Hill. Way to go, Carlos Watkins. And I loved, did you see, and you saw a lot of this last night, Dan Quinn, the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, just when someone would make a big play like Carlos Watkins running off the field, Dan Quinn just grabbing them, hugging them, which is, and I talked a little bit about this with you yesterday, Shannon. Dan Quinn usually up in the booth. So, I mean, he's, he can pump his fist up in the booth, but with Mike McCarthy out with COVID last night, Dan Quinn as acting head coach was down there on the sideline. So he was able to high five and hug his defensive players, which I just thought was way cool.
Oh yeah. He was very active and listening to two bros and a cup of Joe on the way in. They noted the backwards hat, that he flipped his hat for the second half.
Yes.
And I guess, that shows some intensity. I'm all about a backwards hat flip. If one thing isn't working for you, if that's something you feel like you need to change, go for it. And an update, they do not have the Trayvon Diggs jersey for sale, but you can now get the jersey version of Trayvon Diggs. I guess that's the best they could do at this time.
Which amazes
I don't
me,
believe
Shannon.
To be true, but that's what's happening.
Because the Cowboys are all about the money, and because it's December 3rd and people are buying Christmas gifts, I can't believe a Jerry Jones run organization. And I know there's like supply chain, all those ships that are in Long Beach off the coast of California trying to move merchandise. And I know there's a labor shortage for a lot of organizations, but I would think that's a no-brainer. I would think Jerry Jones and the Cowboys would have Trayvon Diggs jerseys everywhere. That's great.
These jerseys are almost sold out. They only have one size left. So the fact that they did come out with the shirt version, just the regular T-shirt with the number 7, they are navy. So don't know if you would want one, but they're almost.
I would never wear it.
They don't even have those left to order unless you're a size small. So why not have the jersey? Come on, Jerry.
Come on, Jerry.
Do better.
And make a white one, Jerry, because I will never wear a Cowboys blue jersey because I am aware of and I believe in, and I will not help fuel the blue jersey jinx. I think every Cowboy fan who wears a blue jersey, most of them don't know it. Most of them are not old like me, who have spoken with Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, who has personally confirmed to me that the blue jersey jinx exists. And as you said, Shannon, at the top of the show, and I get it every time the Cowboys win in the blue jersey, and it was Wes Perkins this morning. He didn't say this specifically, but I get this from people. See, there's no blue jersey jinx. We just won. That no, a jinx is a trend. It's not an absolute. Now, if the Cowboys, you asked me this as well, Shannon, how do we kill the blue jersey jinx? Win a Super Bowl in the blue jersey. The only time the Cowboys played a Super Bowl in a blue jersey was Super Bowl V, their first ever jersey, January 17th, 1971. Not that I'm Rain Man when it comes to the Cowboy Landry era Cowboys. But they were a better team than the Baltimore Colts. It was a comedy of errors. The Cowboys, Dwayne Thomas fumbled on the 1-yard line. That was a lost touchdown, would have won the game. They lost 16-13 on a last-second field goal. So until the Cowboys win a Super Bowl in a blue jersey, and Shannon, if they ever get back to the Super Bowl and they're wearing the blue jerseys, I am going to need lots of sedatives and alcohol, and I'm going to have to hide like sharp objects in my home during that football game if that happens.
And I was going to say statistically too, in the modern era, I believe white jerseys have come away in the Super Bowl more victorious than those that are in those their colored versions. I think the white uniforms more often than not.
That's big. So it's not just a Cowboys. So that plays in too. So you got the Cowboys New Jersey jinx.
Yeah.
Yes. And you've got the Super Bowl color jersey jinx. All right. We got to bring him. Yes. Yes. Okay. We got to bring him in. He's wearing Shannon. Will all Cowboys be victorious this weekend? Our good friend and Soundscape stylist, Jeremy KOLOK, is wearing his Oklahoma State Cowboys hoodie. He is an Oklahoma State guy. It is Oklahoma State versus Baylor at Jerry World. So you've got to wonder, will the Jerry Jones curse be in effect? Jeremy, how you feeling this morning? First of all, Jeremy, I'm doing the Spurs game last night, and I see you in the hall. I mean, you work around the clock. I mean, I'm sleep deprived and cranky. You've got to be sleep deprived and cranky as well.
Yeah. I walked out those front doors, I think at like 10:30-ish, maybe a little bit earlier. And, I'm all tired or whatever. But then I see you sitting in the chair, and I think you were about to go on the air. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I can't even imagine what time this man's about to get out of here. But, I was thinking in the morning it probably would have been more efficient for us to just bring sleeping bags and find a spot to camp out in this building rather than be driving back and forth within like 5 or 6 hours of each other. But, it's all good. There was basketball to be played, right? And then the Spurs won, the Cowboys won. It was a good night. And then hopefully the good vibes can move into the weekend. And UTSA today, too. It's a busy weekend. There's no time for sleep.
We're going to get into all of that. And you're right. UTSA tonight, 6 o'clock. The Conference USA Championship game against Western Kentucky. Pregame with Andy Everett and company at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So, and I got to tell you, and again, I was pessimistic about the Cowboys last night, and they won. So this is okay. But I must tell you, Jeremy, when Shannon and I talked to you about the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State versus Baylor, you don't seem all pumped full of confidence that Oklahoma State's going to take that thing.
I mean, it's just nerve-wracking going into any game with a turnover-prone quarterback. That's just my thing. It's a psychological thing. But with our defense, I feel better than I did going into Bedlam. And it's just kind of the 50-50 of the fact that it's a title game and, it's a neutral site. I think we're trying to paint those stands orange in Jerry World. I think that's what, the goal is. So hopefully, we'll see how that works out for us. I'm just reporting what we're attempting to do as an OSU community. That's what I'm reading.
And Shannon, just looking at the fan bases, it seems to me Oklahoma State fans are more rabid than Baylor fans. Maybe because Baylor's gone through so many weird controversies in the last several years, their football program and their basketball program. I don't see hardcore Baylor Bear fans out there, but I do see hardcore Oklahoma State fans out there. Jeremy's one of them.
I mean, if you want to just go to an example, I think it's because Baylor just as a fan base doesn't know what they're doing, right? Like the whole act like you've been there before. I mean, just go back to that. Oklahoma, there's still time on the clock. Why are you jumping over onto the field and running onto the field?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's you Baylor fans. Come on, get with the program. First, know what you're doing. Learn about football. Then become a hardcore fan. Just insulted all of Baylor Bear Nation. My niece Taylor went to Baylor. I've got some good friends that went to Baylor. Sorry. Quick break. I know. Quick break. Coming up, the high five play of the day. I think you're going to like this high five. Somebody's back and gets a high five. We'll tell you who that is. Paul Alexander, Coach A, Paul Alexander, just about a half an hour away at the top of the hour. Also in the 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. In the 8 o'clock hour, we make our college and pro weekend picks. Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, he's going to join us just after 8:30. It is a jam-packed Football Friday show. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. He is Jeremy KOLOK. I'm Chris. Till 9, it's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Tracy Bogert, you are really going out on a limb there. Not that I'm Nostradamus, but I think the Georgia Bulldogs are going to roll everyone. Tracy, most experts believe the Georgia Bulldogs. Maybe that's your point with the, not that I'm Nostradamus. And again, that's why I want to see somebody beat them. But then again, please, Alabama, don't get into that playoff. All right. See, there he goes. Wes Perkins. I got your tweet earlier today with exactly that. No blue jersey jinx. The red stripe jinx negated it this year. First of all, Wes, as Shannon just told us, the Cowboys lost on opening night in blue jerseys at Tampa. Secondly, the Cowboys play in blue jerseys next week at Washington. It is, Shannon just checked that out. So don't get cocky. I hope you're right. And you're right. Since the red stripe jinx, they have not lost in the blue jerseys. That you may be onto something. All right. Tracy, now I get it. That was you being funny. Tracy, I slept 2 hours and 56 minutes last night. So any humor imparted by anyone today might just go right over my head like yours did. All right. Foamfoot 420, a.k.a. Amber, who has been pretty darn good at predicting lately. I totally whacked the camera in the middle of that segment, by the way. I'm glad I didn't break it. Foamfoot 420, my glass slipper says UTSA will win tonight 35-21. Now, the last two times these teams met, it was 52-46. Although I can see in a conference championship game, maybe a little more nerves. So it's probably not going to be as high scoring. Andy Everett says it will be, but we shall see. I got to load up on my coffee here. If you're just getting in here, as I mentioned, I did the late night Spurs game, got out of here after midnight last night. Suddenly my voice is freaking out too. That's great for radio. So I am running on fumes, or as Jackson Brown would say, for the ones who Beth and I saw Jackson in Houston not long ago with James Taylor. Jackson Brown would say, I am running on empty. Maybe what I need is just start the weekend right with a Bud Light. How about that? Why don't we just start cranking the beer right now? Management might frown upon that. So instead of Bud Light, I am guzzling. Thank you, Sam Tobias. I am guzzling Pure Leaf tea, the official tea of Ryan Leaf, because he's Pure Leaf. So is Leif Garrett and Leif Erickson. That's interesting. When did parents? I know it's been around for hundreds. When did parents start calling their kids Leaf? What should we name our baby? Charles, David, Wesley? No, let's name him Leaf. I don't know, man. By the way, if you're in San Antonio, and even if you're not, over on 1200 WOAI today and tomorrow, the annual, I wonder how many annuals it is. We've been doing it a long time. The Elf Louise Radiothon. Today and tomorrow, I'm going to be working it with Bill Schoening. I'm going to be on the air with Bill Schoening tomorrow 2-4. Yeah, I guess Leif Garrett might be the most famous Leaf.
I was talking with my neighbor Lisa the other day about getting LASIK, and she suggested LASIK Plus. Said they were the best. I told Megan, my friend Gary.
Now, James Rippey here accusing
I had a great experience.
Foamfoot 420/Amber of saying that the glass slipper said the Cowboys would lose. Not according to Foamfoot 420. Leif Erikson was a famous pirate. So we'll commemorate him on Talk Like a Pirate Day.
We're offering 20% off LASIK with our latest Wavelight laser when treated in December. Check out the thousands of 5-star reviews, then visit mylasicoffer.com. LASIK Plus, the patient's choice for LASIK. Must mention this promotion and be treated in December of 2021 to qualify. 20% off standard price of Wavelight procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to mylasicoffer.com for details.
Oh, so actually, I didn't know you. Foamfoot saying no, James. I changed my pick late in the show yesterday. So James was partially correct. So there was a. See, I didn't see you picking against the Cowboys. I only saw the pro Cowboy. Let's see here. I just have to guzzle this coffee. Okay. You said on Monday you had a bad feeling. I did have a bad feeling. And early in this game, I mean, it was 13-10 Cowboys in the third quarter. Before that, Tony Pollard 58-yard touchdown run late in the third, which made it 20-10. I was still thinking at 13-10, deep into the third quarter, I was thinking the Cowboys were going to find a way to blow it. Plus, I'm watching them play in those blue jerseys. Okay, I just Googled famous people named Leif. Number one, Leif Garrett, singer. He's 60 years old now, born in 61. Second most famous, Leif Erikson, a conquistador. And by the way, Conquistador is a great song from the 60s as well. And the rest of them, I don't know. Leif Ove Ansnes, a Norwegian pianist who is 51 years old. Leif Erikson, soldier and musician. Leif Christensen, a Danish classical guitarist. Okay, so I guess most of these people are from like Scandinavia. Leif Oren Zimmerman is a cross-country skier out of Montana. He's 38 years old. Leif Andre is an actor out of Stockholm, Sweden. Leif Pearson is a Swedish criminologist and novelist. 83-year-old Leif Silbersky is a lawyer in Sweden. Yeah, I don't know. I only know two Leifs, two famous Leifs. And, of course, Ryan Leif. But That's last name. So there's your Leaf update, brought to you by Pure Leaf Tea. Welcome back. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. I was kind of waiting to see if Voice Guy was going to come in. I never know. Welcome back.
Sorry, that's on me. I
to the
forgot.
Chris Duel Show.
I was way too into the song.
With Shannon. All right, now, you and Shannon are
How
grooving to
people
this
know
song.
our
Help me out
handle.
here. Say again?
I can still play him. He's still available.
Outcast.
Do you still want Twitter guy? Because
No.
he's the guy. Well,
No.
he'll be on standby for us
Yeah,
for next time.
We don't want to overuse him.
No, that's what. I was talking to him.
Do love
before
the music
break.
choice. Do love the music, Jeremy. That's a good one.
Okay, and help me out. I don't know the music. Who was that?
That was Outcast.
Outcast, everybody. Woo! Yeah, that got me totally revved up. So
You
thank
know
you.
Andre 3000?
Nope.
It's the lead
I
singer.
know Zingbot 3000 from the Big Brother reality show. We should probably have Zingbot on the show at some time. Zingbot, for those of you who don't watch Big Brother, is a robot who shows up in the house, an actual robot, and he zings the house guests. So he has information on them. So he's like an insult comedian robot. He's Zingbot 3000. And he comes in and he zings, and every time he'll zing, like he'll say, Shannon, I heard that you like to da-da-da-da-da-da, something embarrassing. And then he'll go, zing, zing. Thank you. See, I'm into Zingbot 3000. I'm not normal, and worse, I haven't slept much last night after that late night game on the West Coast. So, coming up in a moment, the high five play of the day. But let me tell you what else is coming up. You could be coming up on the show if you dial us up, 800-707-9760. We've got an incredible weekend, or next 2 days, actually. But I guess, with the college football playoff rankings coming out on Sunday, it's a college football weekend of conference championship games starting tonight at the Alamo Dome, 6 o'clock, Western Kentucky versus UTSA. Pregame, 4 o'clock on Ticket 760 out of San Antonio with Andy Everett and company. If you're outside San Antonio, you can pull that up on the iHeartRadio app. You can pull up anything we do, including this show and the podcast, on the iHeartRadio app. So there's that. And then Saturday, lots of big-time conference championship games. Then on Sunday, not only the final college football playoff rankings, but Shannon, then we're going to find out who's going to what bowl games. I know in San Antonio at the Valero Alamo Bowl, they're going to do a big announcement at the Alamo Dome, I think 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, which I would attend, but that conflicts with NFL football. So, I mean, we're going to have to get we had him on last year. We have him on every year. Derek Fox, the executive director of the Valero Alamo Bowl. So by the time we reconvene on Monday, we'll know who's coming to San Antonio. I know that Dylan Emery, the blue collar sports dad, thinks the Oklahoma Sooners will be coming to San Antonio, led by Bob Stoops. That could be interesting. So anyway, we'll know more about that coming up. Just to let you know, coming up on this show, less than a half an hour away, he is like our football guru. It's like we climb the Himalayas to the mountaintop to sit at the feet of Coach A, Paul Alexander, and let him impart his football enlightenment upon us. So he's kind of a football guru, I swear to God. And you already know that if you've heard him before. Also in the 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown on a Friday. Get you going for the weekend. Sports history, sports birthdays, including a very special sports birthday coming up today. Just after 8 o'clock, our big time against the spread, because we're no, weasels. We pick against the spread. College and football weekend football picks. Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, going to join us just after 8:30. So that's a lot of show coming at you between now and 9, and we do appreciate your hanging out with us both on the radio, on the iHeartRadio app, and a lot of people joining us on the live video streams on Facebook Live, on Twitter, and YouTube. All right. We do this every morning at this time. We hand out a high five or 2 or 10. It is the high five play of the day, appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. They got everything you're looking for at High Five. Big screen TVs. You can watch all that college conference championship action and NFL action and NBA all weekend long. And they got great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials, great games. You can play all kinds of games, from bowling to laser tag, axe throwing, and so much more. Get into one of the 2 or get into both of the 2 Austin High Five locations. And Shannon, who shall we recognize and salute and celebrate with a high five this morning?
Well, it is coming from me. But Chris, you can speak more on it, as you are the actual fan. I mean, you're wearing the garb today to celebrate not 1, not 2, but 3 wins in a row now for the Spurs. They've finally got a winning streak going. They end up going into Portland, who had won 10 straight at home, defeat them 114-83 last night. Damian Lillard was out, but that doesn't matter. The win is what goes onto the board at the end of the day.
Yes.
And not only that, but they're playing fantastic defense, Chris. With those 3 straight wins, they've held their opponents, including Boston and Washington, along with the Trailblazers, to under 100 points. I mean, that really does come in handy.
That's crazy. And again, that's Greg Popovich basketball, defense first. And in the NBA, in the modern day, you hold a team under 100 points. That's crazy. Spurs won last night, 114-83. So 3 in a row for the Spurs. I won't go all cocky, Shannon, and say, we're back. I told you but hey, man, 3 in a row. What I love about it, Shannon, and we've talked about it, and we talk about it every week when we have Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, on this show. This is a young Spurs team, the youngest team Greg Popovich has ever coached in the NBA, with just a lot of talent and a lot of upside, especially DeJounte Murray, who last night had a chance at a triple-double. But he had a double-double. He had 15 points, 13 assists, and 7 rebounds. But the Spurs were just tremendous. They had 11 3-point shots in the first half last night, Shannon. That was the most 3-point shots in any half this season. So not only were they playing defense last night, they were hitting their 3-point shots. Bryn Forbes came in, got 16 points in the fourth quarter, just lit it up. It's Spurs at one point led by 27. And there was another moment, Shannon, where with 8:33 to go in the ball game, so I mentioned Spurs were up by 27 at one point. Portland cut it to 12 in their house. So, a 10-point lead in the NBA with 8:33 to play is not safe at all, especially a young Spurs team that has had a hard time closing on the road, hostile environment. As you mentioned, Damian Lillard out of the lineup for the Portland Trailblazers, but they've got CJ McCollum, who is an all-star, Yusuf Nurkic, who is a force in the middle. They've got a lot of talent, and they were in their house, Portland, at the Moda Center. So what I liked was when Portland came back and cut it to 12, 8:33 on the clock, Pop calls a timeout, and then the Spurs go on like this 12-0 run. And before you know it, it's 99-75, and the Spurs never looked back. So and this was Shannon's idea. This wasn't me going, can we give a high five to the Spurs? And this was Shannon. So I second your emotion. High five to the Spurs, Gregory Charles Popovich. Now, if they can keep this streak going now, Shannon, their next 2 games at the Golden State Warriors Saturday night and at the Phoenix Suns Monday night. Those are the teams with the best records in the NBA. Phoenix won its 18th in a row last night. If they can take either one of those games, and they probably won't, and that's okay, but I'll bet you they're going to be in them. If they can take either one of those games against the 2 best teams record-wise in the NBA, that would be very, very impressive.
Yeah, I think what's so great about the 3 wins in a row is because you kind of have this little gauntlet where you are playing the Warriors and the Suns back to back,
Yeah.
and those are going to be hard to get a win from, and I think they'd be lucky if they got one out of the 2, which would still be great.
Yes.
But I think it would have just been more deflating had they not beaten the Trailblazers and then not done what they did against Boston and Washington. So I just think for the team overall that this little win streak here is a good thing to have behind them and to use going forward, and keep up that great defense. I mean, last time the Warriors lost, we saw Steph Curry, I think, only had like 12 or 15 points. So I mean, clearly if you can lock him down, you're halfway there to beating the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I would say of the 2 games, I like them against the Warriors more so than I do the Suns right now. Now speaking of great defense, or maybe just incredible offense, last night the Grizzlies ended up setting an NBA record for the largest margin of victory, 73 points, over the win over the Thunder. Now, are the Thunder just that bad? Because I don't hear much about the Grizzlies being outstanding.
You're right. See, yeah, I mean, if this were the Suns or the Warriors beating the Thunder like this, final score was 152-79. And Shannon, as you just said, it's true. In NBA history, dating back to Wilt Chamberlain, and I mean, any NBA history. I mean, each team plays 82 games every year. Thousands and thousands and thousands of games. This has never happened before. A 73-point margin of victory beatdown. And Shannon, I look at the Spurs, and Spurs fans are freaking out. Oh, we're 7-13. Pop's got to go. I mean, those are fans that know nothing about what the Spurs are doing with this youth movement, which is ahead of schedule, by the way. But I mean, thank God the Spurs aren't losing 30-point games or 40-point games, or in the case of the Thunder last night, a 73-point game. I can't even, I mean, and Shannon, these are professionals. I mean, you hear about sometimes there's a high school game where a really power
like a
high
6A
school
versus a 2A.
Yeah. Will beat up on a team and beat them by 73. And when they do that, I say to the coach, really? You really needed to run up the score? Now, in this case, though, these are professionals in the NBA. My God. I can't even imagine what that locker room was like after the game for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I've got a theory. A theory for you, and I think you might approve, given your kind of disdain for Drake, as he has kind of gone out of his way to avoid adding the Spurs to his clothing line.
Yeah.
NBA crossover. But strangely enough, Drake was at the previous Thunder game when they played the Rockets. Both teams struggling. He was sitting courtside. No one knew why. He's obviously a huge Toronto fan. I mean, he loves basketball, so he pops up at NBA games, but specifically to be in OKC. So I would say that the curse of Drake is back in full effect. That they lose with Drake sitting courtside, and then this happens to them the following game. A blowout.
The curse of Drake. I like it. I mean, something was at play. It was an all-time, never before historic beatdown. So yeah, there were cosmic tumblers and jinxes and forces of evil, such as the curse of Drake in play last night. So, my God.
Now, Jeremy, you obviously a Spurs guy because you are in San Antonio, but you are. You went to OSU. Do you have any love or feelings towards the Thunder?
And when I went to Thunder games, it was a nice atmosphere. That's about it. I don't have anything against them. It's just another. I'm just an NBA fan.
Okay.
I like NBA basketball. So if they're gonna invite me to their arena, I'll get up with the Thunder up vibes or whatever they got going on up there. I mean, they're not any good, but. I mean, I was there when they had Russell Westbrook in his post Kevin Durant MVP run. So I was having a lot of fun, getting the Thunder games on TV, even though I wasn't specifically a fan of them. I mean, I'll watch Russell Westbrook do whatever he was doing. And then, I went to like a playoff game when they played the Utah Jazz one of those years. So not a Thunder fan, but.
So who's your NBA team?
Well, when I was growing up, because when I was growing up, I was when I was really little, I was a Memphis Grizzlies fan because I did live in Memphis, and I like
Ooh.
Pau Gasol.
Ooh.
But it's
Yeah,
also
thank you, Jerry West, for gifting him to the Lakers.
Yeah, I know.
Not that I'm bitter, but
I know.
Okay.
But then I was also little. I remember in like 2003, I was watching this kid at Marquette named Dwayne Wade play, and I kind of fell in love with the way he played. So I was a Heat fan too, kind of growing up, and I got called a bandwagon with LeBron and all that. But I'm just an NBA fan. I love, I'll say go Spurs go any day of the week too. You know what I mean? I love pro basketball.
But it sounds like you don't have a team that, Shannon's team is the Dallas Mavericks. So it sounds like you don't have a team that you live and die with.
When Dwayne Wade was in the league actively, I was a diehard Miami Heat fan.
Okay.
I was. And, I'll root for Udonis Haslem still, but I like Jimmy Butler. It's probably the Heat, but it's not as diehard as when they had my man Dwayne Wade.
Okay. Nobody's perfect. We know you're a Cowboys fan. If you would have been a Cowboys fan and a Spurs fan, then I was starting to think you might be the perfect beast. So, all right, coming up, he is a perfect being. Paul Alexander, our football guru. We are going to climb up the mountain to the top of the Himalayas. We are going to sit at his feet, and he is going to bestow football enlightenment upon us. The guru of football, Coach A, Paul Alexander, joins us next. Big 7 o'clock hour that'll bring you Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays, and then we're going to, in the 8 o'clock hour, our picks, Mark Vandermeer, and a whole lot more. With you till 9. Thanks for hanging out on the Chris Duel Show. Jason Paniagua, welcome. Well, Marcus, I forgot about that. Marcus Valdespino pointing out that the Suns and the Warriors play tonight, which is very good for the Spurs, because the Spurs, I believe, will be in San Francisco tonight, the night before their game against the Warriors. Spurs can watch that, relax, scout both teams, and hopefully the Warriors will be exhausted on a back-to-back Saturday night. Thank you, Marcus, for that. That's a great point. All right. Let me see. Okay, so we got Paul next.
Hi, are you Sarah _34? Yeah. I'm from LASIK Plus. We just wanted to thank you for giving LASIK Plus a 5-star review.
Oh, great. I got a customized treatment plan, and they just made it all so easy. My neighbor was right. LASIK Plus is the best.
Oh, so your neighbor was a patient too?
Yeah, right.
Frank Doggy Dog 778?
Maybe.
He's our next stop. At LASIK Plus, we're now offering 20% off LASIK with our latest wave-light laser we treated in December. Visit MyLASIK.
All right, I am going to go on a quest for coffee. Let me see if I've got my Paul Alexander. Look at that. Look at Wes. I'm making my call. Spurs will beat the Warriors and are the team that stops. So Spurs are going to beat the Warriors and the Suns back-to-back, Wes. If you are right, sir, that would be amazing. There's our Paul Alexander. Paul will be joining us in just a moment. All right. I am in dire need of coffee. Give you some Mike Taylor. Do I want to put Mike over here? No. Let's put him over here. Now I'm at the point, though, where my coffee needs warming. All right, Wes. This video will live on Facebook and Twitter. And we've got your call on the screen, so we can screen grab it. A bold, maybe the boldest of the bold predictions. Very impressive. Steve DeRocco, The Rock. Amber saying, I need Charlie Parker's motor oil coffee. How do you know about that? You're not supposed to know about that. I guess Mike Taylor drinks it. Yes, Steve DeRocco. It's a beautiful morning in America when the Spurs and the Cowboys win. Now, if UTSA can help us out tonight.
High prices don't get you a great network. A great network gets you a great network. It's why Total Wireless runs on the largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. And for a limited time, we're doubling your high-speed data on our $35 unlimited plan from 5 gigs to 10. So you can double your binging, your scrolling, your everything. Total Wireless, do amazing. Available at authorized dealers. Capable devices and required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Offer ends 12/31/2021. First 10 gigs at high speed and 2G. Terms and conditions at totalwireless.com/terms.
Woo!
Discounts are great on pizza, groceries, clothes. But when you see a discount on LASIK, you're skeptical.
John Williams, that's news we can use. I saw the games on the CBS Sports Network, but I don't think I get that.
Because LASIK is every day. So don't be skeptical. Be excited about a life of new vision from the experts at LASIK. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, we're offering $750 off our Wavelight laser if you're treated in December. That's $375 off per eye. Plus, take advantage of our guaranteed financing. Go to LASIK.com to see if LASIK is right for you. The LASIK Vision Institute. Amazing vision, amazing price. You must mention this promotion and be treated in December of 2021 to qualify.
Go look at Paul Alexander's.
See details at LASIK.com.
Facebook page. Sometimes he will give you an indication of what's going on in his world.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max. Work to the max. Family to the max. It can all mean pain to the max. So
Oh, this is interesting. And I am.
BC Max Strength.
Let me see here.
Relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max. New BC Max in a great tasting lemonade flavor.
Okay, so. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. So, all right. Yeah, Sam Tobias says CBS Sports usually covers the Conference USA Championship games, which is great. I just don't get CBS Sports Network on my cable company. And Luisa Alanis says the same. So that's no fun. Coming up, Paul Alexander. So yeah, Paul writes on Facebook, he's going to be doing the Lubbock Cooper Wichita Falls Rider game on television in Abilene tonight. So I don't know if he's already in Abilene or what. We'll ask him. James Rippey talking about the Spurs' chances to beat the Warriors. Let me double check. I think he's got him. Yeah, he's got him. Here we go. James, I hope you're right, man. Paul Alexander about to join us. Cool. Thank you. Our glorious and beautiful football weekend is underway, ushered in last night by America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who not only defeated the New Orleans Saints, they defeated the Blue Jersey Jinx. Cowboys begin the weekend for us, and I know you might be saying, well, now that the Cowboys game is over, now what do we do? Well, we got a lot to do. We've got UTSA versus Western Kentucky tonight at the Alamo Dome, as somebody's going to win Conference USA and win that championship game. Hopefully it will be UTSA. You've got incredible conference championship games tomorrow throughout the day and the night. Sunday, the final ranking of the college football playoff, Final Four and top 25, and of course all the bowl games, including the Alamo Bowl will be announced by Sunday afternoon. And tonight in Abilene, Texas, you've got Lubbock Cooper going up against Wichita Falls Ryder. And my understanding is that our guest and our favorite football guru, Coach A, Paul Alexander, with that television broadcast tonight in Abilene. Paul Alexander, how are you doing this morning?
Played well last night. That was great. That was very encouraging. We're keeping our fingers crossed for UTSA. And yeah, I get to do, it's such an honor and privilege, telecast of this regional final game tonight in Abilene between Lubbock Cooper and Wichita Falls Ryder. And, you know, I love this stuff so much. I love preparing for it as much as I love doing it. So it's been like I've been studying for the bar exam for the last 3 days. And these two teams are just fun to watch. They're so evenly matched. You've got two teams, Chris, from the same district who have made it to the regional finals. You know, the winner of this one goes on to the state semis. So they played each other in the regular season. They're both 12-1. Cooper won the regular season meeting 20-12, but I mean, you couldn't have slipped a penny edgewise between those two teams. They're very physical. This is fun. I just want to add to people's fun on tonight. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun drive, fun game, and hopefully a fun trip back.
Okay, you said fun drive. That was my question as a broadcaster, Paul. It's 7:09 in the morning coming up, and you got to get to Abilene. So, I mean, when are you hopping in the car to get to Abilene?
Pretty much again tonight. I get through talking with you guys. So much.
Okay, so since you are going for a long drive, I have to ask, especially because it is the holiday season. So I'm playing nothing but holiday Christmas tunes in my car. I've got my playlist on. What do we listen to when we take these long drives? Are you turning on whatever sports station is local? Do you have podcasts? Are you books on tape? Or do you have that playlist that just gets you amped and ready to call a game?
I love the question. You know, it kind of fluctuates every year with holiday music, kind of depending on what's going on in the world, etc. So I always get to it like really heavy the last 10 days, but there are other years when I really do embrace the holiday music a little bit earlier. And let's face it, things in the world right now are just so stinky. They cover me up in Christmas music. That's absolutely fine. And plus I got my NFL radio and my ESPN college football radio. So with the exception that I can't drive and study at the same time, it'll be perfect.
Outstanding. He is Coach A, Paul Alexander, and he is all about all things football on every level, high school, college, and pro. Let's, and I'm sure we're going to bounce around a little bit here, Paul, between all three of those. But first and foremost, last night, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, it wasn't pretty throughout. And I must admit, I was still a little bit concerned about the Cowboys game deep in the third quarter. It was 13-10 Cowboys late in the third until Tony Pollard rattled off that incredible 58-yard run for the touchdown. Coming into this one, Paul, the Cowboys had lost 3 out of 4. Now, granted, a lot of players out of the lineup, certainly Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. On Thanksgiving Day, they were gone. We've had some Tyron Smith out for a while. How do you feel about the Cowboys now? For a moment, we were thinking, hey, this team is really on fire and is a legitimate team to vie for the Super Bowl. That kind of went away for me when they lost 3 out of 4. Do you feel good about the Cowboys if they're at full strength down the stretch?
Last night was significant for all the reasons that you cite. I'm sitting there, and I still was not real confident about this in the fourth quarter, and the crowd was into it. New Orleans, over the last few years, generally has owned Dallas, at least in New Orleans. And you were just kind of waiting for the Saints to make a big play. And then Dallas took over. It took over in the fourth quarter. They get 3 interceptions in the last 6.5 minutes to finish the night with 4. 4 different guys got a pick. They got a pick 6 out of that. Tony Pollard gave that defensive back a geometry lesson. Do you know anything about angles? That was amazing. So, Chris, I know you're a fan of the Apollo program, as am and I and was I. And remember when the Apollo capsule is all scorched up coming down through the atmosphere, it's got burn marks all over it, and it splashes down in the ocean. And if it's upright and it's not bobbing and it's not upside down and it's not underwater, NASA called that the stable one position. I saw the Cowboys back stable one last night.
Wow. Love the analogy. Outstanding.
That one was great, and I think definitely a must. It's definitely a must win, in our opinion here, especially as they move on. They've only got Arizona, and then the rest of the way out, it's NFC East teams. But the offense, to me, seems to be sputtering a little bit, especially in the run game. Tony Pollard did have that one breakaway that was a great run, but Ezekiel Elliott suffering. That O-line seems to be suffering a little bit to allow those bigger runs to take place. What about this offense is different than what we started off with when they were going 6-1?
Well, I mean, everything is complementary, not just between the offense and defense, but among different components of the offense. And if they can get Cooper back and they can start hitting some shots downfield and they can start running those deep clear outs with the diagonal route that Dak is so good at, if they get back to doing that, you'll be amazed at how good the running game gets overnight.
Let us hope. All right, Paul, there's so much more I want to get to. The big headline now that we get through the Cowboys game, most of us are Dallas Cowboys fans. So we now turn our attention, to high school football playoffs in addition to college conference championship games. And I guess before we move into the big Saturday games and what will determine the top four for the college football playoff, let's start in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome between UTSA and Western Kentucky. Last time these two teams got together, it was 52-46, an absolute barn burner track meet shootout. I wonder, Paul, and you've been around football for so many years on every level, including as a coach, UTSA had an opportunity, as we know, for a perfect season. They go to Denton last weekend against North Texas. A rainy day, cold day, lots of turnovers in the first half, and they just get whacked by North Texas. Their dreams of a perfect season go away. I'm wondering, from your coaching perspective, Paul, what are the odds of a letdown from these 18 to 22-year-old kids playing for UTSA when the whole nation was talking about their perfect record a week ago to now come back to the Alamo Dome? I know it's a conference championship game, but against a very, very good Western Kentucky team, do you think there might be a hangover for UTSA?
I don't worry about a letdown, at least not to start the game. What would concern me is getting off to a slow start for one reason or another, or turning the ball over early. This is a very precarious position for UTSA, and I'm just being honest. I'm a big Roadrunner fan. I'm hoping and praying they win tonight. Obviously, they have a good chance to win tonight. They're the Roadrunners. They're 11-1. But this is about as awkward a matchup as you could possibly imagine. I've seen way more Western Kentucky football this year than I want to, being a Rice fan and a UTSA fan. Nobody's even slowed them down. I mean, nobody has even speed bumped them. And you go back to that first game, and it's kind of the same situation as the game that I'm doing tonight in high school. When two teams are meeting each other for the second time, and they're both big dogs, and the first time they played, it was really close one way or the other, almost inevitably. For whatever reason, the advantage swings to the team that lost the first game. That would be the thing that concerns me. And I just want to throw out this helpful piece of advice for Roadrunner fans. You got to get with them and stay with them tonight, and you need to understand that. There's not a chance that some bad things are going to happen in this game. There is an absolute certainty. I mean, Western Kentucky is going to launch some haymakers, and there are going to be some bad moments. And if you start getting down and kicking your lower lip around, it's going to affect those players. Okay, so it's 60 minutes or more for them, and it better be 60 minutes or more for you. And you better be mature, devoted football fans, because some bad stuff is going to happen in this game.
Coach, it's been a hectic week in college football, specifically with coaches seemingly turning their backs on their current teams that they still have bowl games that they would have coached for, and taking on new gigs elsewhere. Now, before we get your thoughts on Lincoln Riley to USC and Brian Kelly to LSU specifically, I want to get your take on how you feel in the way it was handled, seemingly surprising everyone, including their current team, and being, kind of shocking the world one right after the other.
Shannon, I'm so with you. And we see this not just in college football or football in general or sports in general. We're seeing this everywhere in our country. It's really not that hard to do things the right way. And it's really not that difficult to figure out. You be honest, you be upfront, you be a person of integrity. Why is this so darn difficult? So it bothers me for the same reasons that it bothers you. Again, there's a better way to do this. And I know sometimes as fans, we hear college football fans say, oh, I can't believe these players aren't displaying any loyalty. You know, you got a five-star quarterback. If he's not starting by the first game of his sophomore year, he's in the transfer portal. Well, where are they getting this lesson? Who's setting the example here? Okay, I don't want to hear players criticized when grown men are behaving like that.
Great point. He is Coach A, Paul Alexander. We're talking all things football with him. And Paul, I wonder, and a lot of us are Texas Longhorn fans. You covered the Longhorns in Austin for many years and around the great state of Texas. You founded the original Longhorn Pipeline radio show. Oklahoma losing Lincoln Riley. And now, I mean, all week long, we're hearing about recruits decommitting from Oklahoma, many of them headed to USC with Lincoln Riley. For so long, Oklahoma has dominated the Big 12 and has dominated Texas. With Lincoln Riley gone, and you know, Bob Stoops will interim coach for the bowl game, but you know, I don't see any sizzling hot shot coach out there on the horizon for Oklahoma. Having lost him, and he's a superstar, and losing these recruits, how much long-term damage do you think this does to the Oklahoma Sooners? And is it an opportunity for the Texas Longhorns to move ahead of them in that rivalry and soon heading into the SEC?
Well, I'll answer those two questions one at a time. It's incredibly damaging to OU. And they're going to be pretty dinged up as they go into the SEC. You want something that's damaging? Okay, heading into the SEC is going to be damaging. Of course, we don't know exactly how long that's going to take. Now, whether this gives Texas an advantage, I don't know. I mean, let's see what they got. I mean, they have so many problems right now, starting with what is clearly, and I don't think this is an exaggeration. I don't think I'm jumping to conclusions. I don't think I'm being unfair. That is a putrid, not a bad, that is a putrid, decaying culture. And until you fix that, nothing else is going to matter. Now, admittedly, something as seemingly small as winning that last game against Kansas State, that's actually a big deal, because the human mind, especially the young male human mind, is an amazing thing. You know, all you're going to remember now is we won our last game heading into spring ball, and that will help. But Texas has so many problems right now, I'm not sure I would know where to start.
One of their biggest problems is that they're getting no bowl game this year, only with 5 wins. You need 6 wins to get in. And because of so many teams getting 6 wins, they actually just added another bowl game. It'll be played in Texas. Details still to follow. But that way, every team from the NCAA this year that had 6 wins is able to play. What are your thoughts on all of these bowl games? Because clearly we have the New Year's Six and then some other bowl games that are pretty well recognizable and well respected. But with all of these other bowl games, with teams that just barely got that 6 win, does this start to feel like an everybody gets the trophy situation?
It does. Now, you know, I got to admit this. I can't blame everybody else without blaming myself. I mean, I eat this stuff up. I'm addicted to it. They know I'm going to watch. They know I'm hooked. They know they got me and other people. Really, the only thing about not going to a bowl game that matters, particularly if you're a fringe team like this, or in this case, a bad team like that, is you don't get all those extra practices. And that is the value of the bowl game, because it's essentially an early extended spring practice. And especially when you're in a culture now where you're trying to figure out who wants to be here, who doesn't, who wants to play boys tackle football, who doesn't. It's not having those extra practices that matters. It's not the fact that you're not playing in the game.
Coach A, Paul Alexander, talking football with us. And Paul, Saturday, huge conference championship games with big time implications for the college football playoff rankings. And I think one of the big dominoes in the SEC, you've got Georgia playing Alabama. And first of all, Georgia, obviously a heavy favorite in that game, but I would caution anytime you're a heavy favorite against Alabama and Nick Saban, be a heavy favorite at your own peril, because you can never trust that team to lose to you, even if you're as mighty as Georgia is right now. And I know most of us expect Georgia to win. So therefore, if Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama will have 2 losses. If they've got 2 losses and an Oklahoma State and or a Notre Dame has 1 loss, is it right for the College Football Playoff Committee to put Alabama in that Final Four and say, hey, well, they played Georgia, and Georgia's the greatest team there is. That's a good loss. You're feeling if Alabama has loss number 2, from your perspective, Paul, are they worthy of the College Football Playoff Final Four?
Wouldn't even worry about it, because if they have 2 losses, they're not getting in. And I know there are all these, this is what we do as a country now. We just jump to these unfounded conclusions, but all these conspiracy theories, Alabama would get in with 6 losses, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to. They're not in. Now, here's the flip side. I don't want to hear any whining about this. If Alabama pulls off the upset, hell yes, they're in. And they deserve to be in, and there shouldn't be any crying about that. In that case, yeah. Well, say we have a conspiracy. We have 2 SEC teams in the college football. In that scenario, they would be 2 of the 4 best teams. What about this mathematically don't you understand?
Your accent sounds like the new way that Brian Kelly is talking now that he's in LSU. That's a pretty funny video going around right now. He's just a completely different person. Coach, wanted to get your thoughts. This week, Robert Griffin announced that he will be releasing a book that will be kind of a tell-all from his experience in Washington titled Surviving Washington. He says he's going to tell about his own experiences, specifically with some sexual harassment that happened towards him, not necessarily what happened around the organization, as well as some mismanagement with his injury. The book being announced this week. You can already pre-order it, but it doesn't come out until August 9th, right before preseason starts for the next NFL season. Your thoughts on him releasing a book and kind of the timing of it all?
All I can say is Daniel Snyder is going to go down to the orthopedic store and buy knee braces. So that guy's knees are knocking. Don't you know he can barely stand up straight? I don't know exactly what is motivating this by RG3, but apparently he feels very strongly about it. And let me just say this and ask you guys this question. Have you heard RG3 as both an NFL and a college football analyst? He is outstanding. I mean, he didn't get that job because of his reputation or the Heisman Trophy or anything like that. That guy got that job because he's good at it.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. Shannon and I have been talking about how good RG3 is, and Shannon played me kind of an audio Twitter hype that RG3 did for the book. And when I first heard of the book, I thought, I don't know. Everybody's writing a book. Then I heard RG3 sell the book, and what's going to be in it is like, damn, you just made me want to read that book, RG3. So, Paul, while we may want to read the book RG3, I recommend even more highly your amazing website, radicallyrational.com. Not only do you give your outstanding sports takes regularly, but I mean, you comment on everything that matters in our lives, from culture to politics and more, and you do it in a way that's highly entertaining. If anybody has not yet checked out radicallyrational.com, A, do it right now, and B, what would you tell people to expect if they go check out radicallyrational.com?
Well, it starts with the name, really. It just kind of reflects this absurd position that we're in right now culturally. We're being just basically rational. Being sane is now radical. It's so unusual that being rational, not being stone crazy, is now radical. So we take it from that approach. We are a fact-based but opinion-generating multimedia platform with blogs and podcasts and daily videos and stuff like that. But I don't want you to think that this is some kind of dry academic scold thing. We're there to have fun. We want to do so in an honest way. We want to take the material seriously, not take ourselves seriously. So the whole idea really is to get your day off to a good start, give you something to think about, give you something to laugh about, et cetera. And by the way, laughing back at me and poking fun at me is not only okay, that's encouraged. But That's kind of where we're coming from. And I've had so much fun with the sports blog since we started doing this. Matter of fact, I just finished up this morning's post just a few minutes ago. But it's really kind of you to ask. And Chris, I'm dying to get you back on Radically Rational, the podcast. And Shannon, you're invited.
Oh, Shannon, you got to do it. It's great. Coming to a Radically Rational podcast near you, Shannon Salty Sweeney. I look forward to that one. Paul, if this, I could listen to you talk football all day, but I have had the joy of hearing you call football games back when you were the original voice of UIW football, and as you called games for the Texans in the Canadian Football League here. Tonight, as you mentioned, you're hopping in the car, going to Abilene. You're going to call Lubbock Cooper versus Wichita Falls Rider on television tonight. Paul, I wish I got that on my TV because I would just lock in and listen to you call football. That's nothing better than that. Have a safe drive to and from Abilene and have a blast doing one of the things you do so well tonight, calling a football game. Have a great time tonight, Paul.
Shannon, thank you so much, and go Roadrunners.
Go Roadrunners. Amen. And by the way, and Paul said it, fans going to the game tonight at the Alamo Dome, you have got to be the home field advantage for the UTSA Roadrunners. And yes, as Paul predicts, there's going to be ups and downs, and where there are downs, you got to still bring it. You're a big part of the Roadrunners winning that game tonight. Quick break coming up. Shannon's Salty Shakedown, this day in sports history and sports birthdays. Just after 8 o'clock, we're going to make our weekend college and professional football picks against the spread. Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, joining us just after 8:30. That's a lot of show in the next 90 minutes, and we appreciate your hanging out with us. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo, woo, woo. All right. Do I want more coffee? James Rippey. I said it earlier in the week, and I'll say it again. No team has ever gotten to the college football playoff with 2 losses, and Alabama has been left out twice because they had 2 losses. And, you know, that's accurate, James. It sure doesn't feel that way to me. It always feels like Alabama's always there. I hope they don't go. Although if they upset Georgia in the SEC championship game, that would be a heck of an upset. And they would both then go in, clearly. But, all right. Will it be coffee or will it be iced tea? I think because I had 2 hours and 53 minutes of sleep last night, I'm going to go for a little more coffee. Make sure I've got, and I think I do, sports history and sports birthdays. All right, I'm going to heat up my coffee. Mike Taylor. And the Mike Taylor dancers to sit in. Yeah. There it is, Sam Tobias. Lots of coffee in there. And this morning, I need lots of coffee. Thank God for coffee. I'll be back in about 90 seconds.
So, you know what Mike said about getting LASIK at LASIK Plus? That it was the best decision he's ever made.
Oh, yeah.
And Tara, she said from the moment she arrived for her consultation, she got the red carpet treatment. And Kevin, he said that the ride home lasted longer than the actual procedure. And Kendra said,
Oh, we don't know any Kendras.
I'm reading reviews online. LASIK Plus has thousands of 5-star reviews.
Thousands?
Uh-huh. Okay, where was I? Oh, so Kendra said...
LASIK Plus has received more 5-star reviews online nationally than anyone else. So, if you're ready for a life of new vision, schedule today. Right now at LASIK Plus, we're offering 20% off LASIK with our latest Wavelight laser when treated in December. Visit mylasicoffer.com. LASIK Plus, the patient's choice for LASIK. Must mention this promotion and be treated in December of 2021 to qualify. 20% off standard price of Wavelight procedure cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to mylasicoffer.com for details.
Woo! Woo! Thank you, Mike Taylor, and the Mike Taylor dancers. What's happening?
So, I'm gonna. That's okay. I'll jump down just in case. Super. Oh, that's great. I'm happy to hear that.
Okay, thanks so much. All right. Here we come. Wes Perkins, that's a great point.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Black Magic Woman, welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK making the show go. Let's see. Let me catch you up on everything that's coming at you in a moment. Shannon's Salty Shakedown for the weekend. It is always fun, enlightening, thought-provoking, sometimes frightening. We advise that you put both hands on the wheel, take a deep breath. If you have a mantra, chant it throughout the Salty Shakedown. Sports history, sports birthdays. And then as we move into the 8 o'clock hour, it is time for Prophecy, our weekend football picks, college and pro, and especially college with these conference championship games. What a big weekend it is. And then just after 8:30, the voice of the Houston Texans, MARC VANDERMEER. Always fun talking Houston Texans and NFL with MARC VANDERMEER. And with such a big college football weekend, we might get his thoughts on college football as well. Along the way, if you want to jump in and join us, you are invited. 800-707-9760. And if you're new to the show, we do have a live video feed, which is a lot of fun. You can interact with us and all kinds of other fans from across Texas and around the world via Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. As I mentioned, Shannon's Salty Shakedown coming right up. But first, sports birthdays and this day in sports history. On this day in 1944, a merger of two football teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Cardinals, merged. Why? Because World War II was going on. They didn't have enough players to run each franchise. They said, all right, well, we're going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers / Chicago Cardinals. By the end of the season, they were able the next year to go back to being the Steelers and the Cardinals because World War II ended before the start of the 1945 season. But very creative for the National Football League to find a way to keep on keeping on during World War II. This day in 1957, the 23rd Heisman Trophy Award went to John David Crow, I believe, of Texas A&M. So an Aggie got the Heisman. I think Manziel was the only other Aggie to get the Heisman. I do believe. Aggies will correct me on that quickly if I'm wrong. On this day in 1997, the Golden State Warriors terminated the 4-year, $32 million contract of Latrell Sprewell. Why? Because he choked his head coach, PJ Carlesimo. Don't choke your head coach. It's frowned upon. And finally, on this day in 2005, it was the Big 12 championship game. Number 2 Texas beat Colorado 70-3. 70-3 in the Big 12 championship game. If you had Texas by 67, you were correct. Later on, Texas would go on to the national championship game against some team called USC, and that was kind of a big game, they tell me. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1923, Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive end and coach Tom Fears, NFL champion in 1951. I didn't know this. Tom Fears was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. Tom Fears passed away in the year 2000. Born on this day in 1937, auto racer Bobby Allison won the Winston Cup in 83, won Daytona 500 in 78, 82, and 88. Bobby Allison was born in Miami, Florida. Born on this day in 1965, Katharina Witt, a German figure skater. She won the Olympic gold ladies singles in 1984 and 1988. She won world championship gold in 84, 85, 87, and 88. She was kind of a big deal. Katharina Witt was born in Stocken, Germany. But Shannon, our biggest birthday today, and it is a sports birthday because he is the father of one of the greatest sports talk show hosts in America. That would be the one, the only Pat Sweeney. Pat Sweeney's birthday is tomorrow on December 4th. And Shannon, I think you've met Pat Sweeney because he is the father of Shannon Salty Sweeney. Happy birthday to your dad. How cool is that?
Yes, I am familiar with the man. We are granting him his wish of letting him play his Battlefield game all day, and then we'll take him to dinner that night. So happy birthday, Daddy.
Okay, now dinner, did you get him a gift? Is there a gift? I mean, obviously you can't reveal the gift in case he's listening, but.
So the gift was, PlayStations, Xbox is still very hard to come by. I came by one for him in October, and when you get it, you can't just hide that, right? Come on, the new game was already coming out. So we gifted that to him, and we said, this is your birthday gift. You can have it now. And on your birthday, we will not be mad if you sit on the couch and play the game all day and do whatever it is you want to do. So I think my mom and I will probably go to a movie tomorrow while he's playing the game. But yeah, those are the plans.
What a hip dad who plays Xbox. That's very, very nice.
I mean, that's how I got into it. So yeah.
Wow. Happy birthday, Pat Sweeney, and enjoy Xbox and do whatever you want to do tomorrow. It's your day. You can have anything you want. Very cool. So happy birthday. Those are your sports birthdays and your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, pole assassins, and monkeys, the moment you've been waiting for, your weekend edition of Shannon's Salty Shakedown.
All right, sir. We got a retirement this week. A former Texas standout, a pretty good NFL career kind of guy. Kenny Vaccaro announces his retirement on Twitter. He did so with a lovely video where it showed some of his biggest plays while at Texas, while in the league. He was the number 15 overall pick to the Saints in 2013, played with them, and then played with the Titans to end his career. Really great cornerback, had plenty of interceptions, plenty of great tackles, plenty of great back downs, and he's moving on to the next stage. He has announced his retirement. And not only that, but what he's doing next. So many guys, they say they're retiring and there isn't much to follow, right? You're just kind of left wondering, well, what's next for them? But he immediately knew what he was doing, where he was going to go. He, along with 2 professional gamers, are launching an esports organization called G1, stands for Gamers First. And he will focus on Halo World Esports Championships. In his video, it ended with him actually looking at his cell phone. He had messages from the Atlanta Falcons asking if he would join the team. So apparently still good enough to play in the league and get offers from teams, but he decided to hang up the cleats and take the helmet off. And then it was panned over to a Halo helmet. And I know you're not necessarily familiar, but it's kind of like a green helmet with a very orange face shield going on, very noticeable to gamers around the world. And he had a great quote of, he wants to help inspire guys who do retire, who a lot of times have this moment of, my identity has been football for so long. He says, that doesn't have to be it once you take the football helmet off. There are other things and other avenues that you can go to. Just look at this for one of them, especially so many guys with the travel and the staying in the hotels. A lot of them play video games anyway. Why not try and make a post-NFL career out of it? Sir, I know you're not a huge gamer, but to me, when we see so many former athletes from the NBA and NFL joining the fight world in boxing or UFC, UFC, I like the gaming route a little bit better, especially as esports continues to blow up around the world.
I do too, for a lot of reasons. It seems when athletes retire, we talked about Chad Ochocinco yesterday, and then get into the fight, it seems like a cry for help to me. And you're risking getting your head crushed in, and we know about head injuries and the long-term damage that can do. So yeah, esports, and obviously esports are huge and getting huger every hour. So yeah, probably a much better and probably a much more long-term, if you've got a company, a much more lucrative thing to get into for former athletes.
Yeah, I mean, look at Kyler Murray. He's on that Phase 1 team, and he's playing in the NFL. But he's pretty set up for when he does decide to hang it up. All right, moving on to basketball. Texas men's basketball has had a big week. They started on that Monday night game where they played in Gregory for students only, and during that game, they found themselves a new mascot. All right, Hookem, you can take a break for a little bit because Hawaiian shirt guy is the latest craze for Texas basketball. He was standing behind one of the hoops at Gregory Gym on Monday night, cheering, poking at the other team, doing all things that fans should be doing as a college student at a basketball game, getting the team hype. So much so that Texas men's basketball earlier this week posted the video of this guy cheering and said, "Internet, do your thing. Go find him." They even changed their Twitter handle to find Hawaiian shirt guy. They did find him. His name is Jonathan. He came in, he gave the team a little pep talk during a film session this week.
Wow.
And Coach Beard had this to say about him yesterday at his weekly presser.
We notice everything. When you build a program, every detail matters. And Jonathan was bringing great intensity and great effort to the game the other night. He was there early. He stayed late. He was cheering for his team and getting on the opponent a little bit. So, we put the warning poster out. A couple minutes later, we found him. We got him over here. We did a little film study with him, and Jonathan promises us he'll be back for tomorrow night's game. We look forward to a lot of stories like that in the future, just trying to develop a relationship with our students.
Again, Chris Beard doing all he can to connect with the University of Texas campus and its students. That tomorrow night's game he's referencing is tonight, 6 o'clock at the Irwin Center. So if you can't make it to that UTSA championship game, I highly suggest it. They're playing UTRGV. I think that's Rio Grande Valley, if I'm not mistaken. Tickets as low as $12, tickets as high as $35. If you decide to watch it on TV, be on the lookout for one Hawaiian shirt guy. Texas needs to start giving out Hawaiian shirts. Sometimes there's shirt giveaways. Do Hawaiian shirts. That'd be a pretty awesome one to have. And I just love that he's kind of become a new mascot. I don't think we've really had that kind of fan before. Chris, have you ever, had a coach that's picked a guy out of the crowd, specifically a student, and brought him in the way that Chris Beard has this week?
I can't recall one ever. And again, Shannon, I say this about Chris Beard, and I say it about Jeff Traylor, the UTSA head football coach. Chris Beard, once again, making all the right moves. It's a brilliant move. It's fun. Jonathan, Hawaiian shirt guy. Jonathan needs to now, players with name, image, and likeness. Hawaiian shirt guy needs to run with this. He needs to he needs to put out merch. He needs to create his own line of Hawaiian shirts that he profits from. This is a great opportunity for Jonathan.
I would not be surprised if you walked into the co-op and all of the Texas Hawaiian shirts have just been placed at the front. Maybe he should get a deal with Tommy Bahama. They already have a deal with the University of Texas. I think that'd be a great one for him and Jonathan. All right, keeping it with basketball and college basketball at that. Chris, interesting stuff. Arkansas Pine Bluff, not a huge program, but a program with a brand new head coach, Solomon Bozeman. It's his first month into his first D1 coaching gig. The team 1-8 right now, so not a fantastic start. But he did something really interesting this week during their game against Iowa State. As I said, not a fantastic start to the season. They were down 44-24 in the second half with 18 minutes left to play. Solomon called a timeout for his team, and instead of drawing up plays to go against the number 19 Iowa State Cyclones, he had them running sprints, baseline to baseline, in the middle of a game. I guess to say, if you're not already embarrassed enough by this, let's run sprints in the middle of a game.
Wow.
Now, listen, I played high school hoops. There were many times where after a game, specifically on our home court, where they said, hey, we're going to go to the small gym after the game. And you knew exactly what was coming. You were hitting the line and running. There was no post-game speech. It was post-game yelling and post-game sprints. But he just skipped all that. He said, we're going to do this right now. I called a 90-second timeout, get to run in the baseline to baseline. That's super embarrassing. And again, I don't know what that's going to do for your team. Again, that they did have a slow start. It was number 19 Iowa State. And on their schedule left to play before they get to like their normal teams, right? Because people aren't really starting conference play until the new year. They've got number 4 Baylor and number 7 Texas.
Oh,
so
God.
We may see them running some more mid-game sprints throughout. Chris, you're a player. You're trying your hardest. It's clearly not going your way. You're down 20 points, 18 minutes left in the game. Your coach calls a timeout. You're thinking, good, I need some water. This is just not going well. I am so tired. And he
Yeah.
says, hit the baseline. What's going through your head?
My God, players can't like this. And Shannon, even I think modern day players, even more so than players maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago who had more respect for authority. I think today's players are going to hate this even more. A bold move by the Arkansas Pine Bluff coach. I don't know if it's going to win over the players. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on this team, especially when they play Texas coming up.
I wouldn't say that I would cry, but I'd probably cry had that happened to me mid-game. And my face would have been beet red. Embarrassing for them, embarrassing for that coach. I don't agree with it, but nonetheless, it happened, and it very likely could happen again when they do take on number 4 Baylor or number 7 Texas. There it is, today's Salty Shakedown.
My goodness, what a final story on the Salty Shakedown. And interestingly, both of those things from college basketball, Shannon, as you mentioned, we've never heard of a coach seeking out a specific fan and bringing that fan into the locker room and co-opting that fan and making that fan so much of the experience as Chris Beard did with Hawaiian shirt guy Jonathan and that Solomon Bozeman Arkansas Pine Bluff story. My God. I mean, on a certain level, I respect him for like outside the box going. I mean, that sounds like something Bobby Knight would have done at Indiana or at Texas Tech. I mean, it sounds like a Bobby Knight move, but man, you've got to have some, and I'll say gravitas for the first time today to do that. That's an amazing move. And I'm going to pay attention, even though they're a losing team, to Arkansas Pine Bluff, see how long that coach lasts.
Yeah. Again, his first time coaching a D1 school, his first month in, 1-8 start. And that's what you're doing to your team. That doesn't bode well for recruiting, if you ask me.
That's another point. Yes. Do you want to go play for that guy? That's a tremendous point. All right. Coming up, Shannon and I will look into the crystal ball. We will make our predictions, big time college weekend picks, NFL weekend picks against the spread, so that you can either at the end of the weekend go, man, they really know their football prophecy, or you can just mock us and humiliate us on social media, which is often the case in my with my picks. Also, just after 8:30, Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans. Always love talking Texans and NFL with Mark. The Eagles riffing on the way out. Don Felder created this song and then was fired by the Eagles. I'm sure he's not bitter. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Ooh, I need to make my NFL picks. So I got to pick the UTSA game, of course. See what the spread is in that one. The spread is Western Kentucky by 3.5. Wow. I didn't realize. That's the first time I've looked at the spread. Western Kentucky is favored in the Alamo Dome over UTSA. Vegas usually knows something. Be very afraid. Be very afraid. Yeah, Taro, we talked a lot of Spurs earlier. Great to see Taro Kotani in here from Tokyo, Japan. Okay, I got to pick Baylor, Oklahoma State. That is Oklahoma State by 5.5. That's a big spread for two relatively evenly matched teams. And then Georgia is a 6.5. Wow, only 6.5. I'm going to pick that one. Now, NFL games. The big one is Sunday, or is that Monday night? I think it's Sunday night. Let me check that. Buffalo. Nope, that's Monday night. Buffalo hosting the Patriots. All right, I need to pick two other games. I'm going to go and then let's see, Washington and the Raiders. Since the Raiders beat the Cowboys and since Washington is the closest opponent, Raiders are favored at home by 1 over the Washington football team. Let's go. Got him. True, Sam Tobias, and I am picking that game. Yeah, Marcus, I'm looking at the point spread on the ESPN.com website just because it's easiest for me to find. And that's got UTSA as a 3.5 point underdog. So that's what they list right now. So that's what we use in these picks just because it's easier. So great to see Taro Kotani in here. If you're new in here, Taro is the greatest international Spurs fan. We've had him in studio. He lives in Tokyo, Japan. He has come to San Antonio 16 times to see his Spurs play. That number would be a lot higher if it weren't for the pandemic, because he was going to come a couple of times in 2020 and 2021. We're hoping it happens this season. You can see Jeremy KOLOK with his Oklahoma State hoodie. David Valles says, only Frost Bank is lit with UTSA colors. I'll bet you Ancira automotive dealerships are. April Ancira, such a huge alum and supporter of the UTSA Roadrunners. But yeah, that's too bad. And you know what, David, I hope I'm wrong, but I get the feeling everybody's so bought into the euphoria of the perfect season and of UTSA going undefeated. When they lost at North Texas, I think some of the bandwagon fans, A, either jumped off the bandwagon, or B, some of those fans lost some of their passion. And I think the passion is not as fervent as it was a week ago. And I hope I'm wrong, because a lot of those student tickets were purchased by April Ancira, by Frost Bank, by a lot of these companies that jumped in. The question is, will those tickets be used? So a crazy number of student tickets were purchased, and they're being distributed to students. But are those students now that you got your free tickets, are they going to go? And I hope so. There was a big pep rally last night. John, I'd have to go look, but they probably were. an underdog against UAB. And I hope, you know what, as Jeff Traylor motivates his team and gets it focused, for you in your house, as a team that was undefeated a week ago, to be what I just read, a 3.5-point underdog to Western Kentucky. That's no respect for UTSA. Granted, it's a lot of respect for Western Kentucky, but it's disrespectful of UTSA. It's disrespectful of the Alamo Dome and their fans, who should be creating a home field advantage. So Sam Tobias is saying that UTSA was a 3.5-point underdog against UAB.
Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, we're offering $750 off our Wavelight laser if you're treated in December. That's $375 off per eye. Plus, take advantage of our guaranteed financing. Go to LASIK.com to see if LASIK is right for you. The LASIK Vision Institute. Amazing vision, amazing price. Must mention this promotion and be treated in December of 2021 to qualify. $750 off for both eyes on standard Wavelight price. $375 off for one eye. Cannot be combined with any other offers. See details at LASIK.com.
And Marcus Valdespino is saying UTSA was favored to beat UAB by 3.5. I just don't have time to look it up here when we're so close to coming back from commercial.
All right, listen up, people. Sean Avery here. If you enjoy alcohol, chances are at some point you've been hungover, torn up, in the hurt locker. Well, here's a little secret. Goodies hangover powder relieves pain fast, helps wake you up, and it tastes good. I'm not kidding around. You got a case of ginfluenza, urbanitis, no problem. Get Goodies hangover powder.
Fernando Solano says, good morning. Spurs win. Cowboys win. Excited about tonight's game. Go Roadrunners. Wes Perkins says, whoever has the ball last tonight wins the conference title. Yeah, and I just hope, I mean, it would be so deflating for UTSA to have been 11-0, to lose that game in Denton a week ago, and less than a week later, that was on Saturday, you turn around, you play a Friday night game. If they lose this one tonight, granted, they'll have a bowl game, but they will have lost the perfect season that was doable in the regular season. North Texas was certainly beatable by UTSA. UTSA beat them last season. It's a team they could have beaten, and they know it. And then if you lose the conference, you know, at least now you can say, hey, man, we can go win our conference, which would be unprecedented. They've never done that. That would be huge. So if you lose that now, that would be rough. Yeah, it was 52-46 in the first matchup, Sam, between UTSA and Western Kentucky. So it'll be a big one tonight.
Now, Chris Duel.
Oh, my goodness. What a beautiful, glorious, and holy football weekend it is. Ushered in last night by America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, as they kind of turn a lackluster game around late in the third quarter. Tony Pollard, that 58-yard touchdown run. It was 13-10 Cowboys at that point, which was too close for comfort, especially with the Cowboys in their blue jerseys. The blue jersey jinx was in effect, but the Cowboys finished very strong. Lots of interceptions, including a pick six, and the Cowboys beat the New Orleans Saints 27-17. We got nothing but football all weekend long. High school playoff football across the great state of Texas and America. We've got college football bowl championship, not bowl games, conference championship games starting tonight in the Alamo Dome, 6 o'clock kickoff. UTSA versus Western Kentucky for the Conference USA Championship. Pre-game, by the way, 4 o'clock if you're going and tailgating or if you just want to tune in, and you should. Andy Everett and company, 4 o'clock this afternoon on Ticket 760. Thank you, Coach, that you can listen to either over the radio if you're around San Antonio or anywhere on the iHeart Radio app. And then tomorrow, a ton of big-time conference championship games. Jeremy KOLOK's Oklahoma State Cowboys at Jerry World going to try to beat Baylor. In fact, that's going to be one of my picks here in a moment. And then NFL, culminating with Shannon Salty Sweeney's beloved Buffalo Bills at home on Monday night against the evil Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots and their robot rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, who is not a human being. He is an android. He is not a real. Plus, he went to Alabama, so I hate him even more. I'm just saying.
MJ10.
MJ10. That's right. MJ10, everybody. I'm MJ.
No. He wants to be known.
MJ is Michael Jordan. And you're no Tom Brady. Don't copyright your MJ10. But he did. All right. Shannon, any thoughts, any words of wisdom, anything on your mind before we embark upon our fearless football picks?
I'm just sad there's no Texas game to pick. Even though I never picked them, I'm just sad. It makes me sad.
And this on the anniversary of their 70-3 rout of Colorado in the 2005 Big 12 championship game.
Those were the days.
They're coming back. I believe they're coming back.
Uh-huh.
Those days are coming back.
Yeah, totally.
And plus, Oklahoma's down now. So, Red River rivalry, boom, or shootout, whatever. You got that. You can count that one. But September of next year, Shannon, UTSA versus Texas. What's that going to be like? And how dare you pull against Jeff Traylor, friend of the show and friend of yours and a follow of yours on Twitter, Jeff Traylor. I hope he's not listening right now. I think he's busy. All right, let's do this thing. In a moment, our NFL picks. But first, how about some college football picking music, Jeremy? Shannon and I do this every week. We pick 3 college football games against the spread and 3 NFL football games against the spread. Shannon Salty Sweeney, you have the honors. You are first up. Who would you like to pick in college football?
Well, and I think, would this be our last week of college football picks, since it does become bowl season and the slate of games goes all over the place?
Well, we'll probably pick some bowl games. I don't know. Well, since we're so good at this, we may want to just keep it going. I don't know.
Well, for Jeremy, I'm gonna pick this Big 12 matchup: OSU versus Baylor. Oklahoma State favored by 5.5. I think as far as home field advantage is concerned, I'm gonna give the edge towards Baylor. But having seen both of these teams play, having Texas do what they did against both of those teams, and taking that into consideration, I like Oklahoma State versus that Baylor defense a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Oklahoma State with the 5.5 points. I'm not super confident in this pick, but for Jeremy's sake, I'm going to take him. OSU minus 5.5 against Baylor.
Thank you.
Very nice, Jeremy. Any comment on that pick?
No, I appreciate I appreciate it.
Very nice, Shannon. I like that pick so much. It's such a good pick. You pick an Oklahoma State minus 5.5 against Baylor at Jerry World, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I like that pick so much. I'm going to make it 2. I'm with you. Oakland and 5.5. I mean, these are relatively, you could argue, evenly matched teams, both single digits in the rankings. But I think Oklahoma State, and part of it, I think, is the Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma vibe. I think Mike Gundy and all of Oklahoma State realize now, hey, we can now be the big dogs in the state of Oklahoma. We knocked off Oklahoma in the Bedlam game. We sent their coach fleeing to the West Coast, Lincoln Riley. This is our time. I think Oklahoma State comes in there sky high. I'm with you, Shannon. Give me Oklahoma State minus 5.5. Jeremy, we're counting on your Oklahoma State Cowboys for both of us to be right on that pick.
I'm counting on them too. I mean, the the performance of a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds is going to directly impact my mood for the weekend.
Exactly.
In the indefinite future.
And if they fail, then I'm going to be drinking heavily all week. So they're affecting my health.
Major repercussions in my life for what they do up in Arlington.
Good point.
Well, lucky for all of
right,
us,
Shannon.
it's like one of the first games of the day on Saturday. So you get started early.
Started early.
It's going to set the tone for my entire
kind of weekend vibe.
Yeah.
Things could go very poorly very quickly. All right, my second game that I'm picking is a game that is taking place tonight. Oregon versus Utah for the Pac-12 championship. Oregon at 10-2, Utah at 9-3. Utah favored in this one at -2.5. I like the Utes, but I like what I've seen out of Oregon this season. So I'm going to take the underdog here and take Oregon at +2.5 against this game for the Pac-12 championship. Oregon +2.5 against Utah.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, and I think in general that game, by the way, is going to be in Las Vegas, where the Raiders play at Allegiant Stadium. So I just think Oregon generally has better athletes. Oregon coming in at 10-2, 10 in the country. Utah 9-3, 17 in the country. I think you made the right pick. I like Oregon in that game. And all I can say is Oregon and Utah, enjoy your little Pac-12 championship game, because Lincoln Riley and the Trojans are going to be in that game next year with all those transfers. I just think, why the heck not? All right. I've got to pick the game that will set all the dominoes in motion for the college football playoff. 3:00 tomorrow on CBS, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, you talk about Georgia's advantage in this game. Number 1, Georgia, 12-0. Number 3 and evil, Alabama, 11-1. Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite against Nick Saban and Alabama. It's been 92 games, Shannon, since Alabama has been an underdog. That was against Georgia a number of years ago in the SEC championship game, and Alabama won that game. Everybody's telling me Georgia can't be beat. I'm going with Georgia. I'm laying the 6.5, which is insane, against Nick Saban and Alabama, but I'm going to do it. Give me Georgia -6.5. Please, Georgia, smite the Crimson Tide, knock them out of that college football playoff. I'm sick of it. I will be a Bulldog fan tomorrow, Shannon.
Yeah, that's my final pick as well. I'm going to take Georgia at that -6.5. Listen, I recall very well the Sugar Bowl when everyone thought Texas was officially back and they beat down Georgia Bulldogs. And since then, Georgia has not looked back. Their fans were all over them about that loss, and a game that arguably they probably should have won had they had played the way they played the rest of the season. And then obviously, you recall Georgia kind of melting down in that championship game against Alabama. Alabama ended up getting the win with that one. Kirby Smart has taken a lot of heat. I don't think they're going to have that same experience this year. It feels like it's their time, and it's all going to start with a huge victory over Alabama this weekend and knocking the Roll Tide out of the top 4, hopefully.
And that would be so joyous. That would bring such joy to my heart to see Alabama lose and lose big tomorrow. I'm going to just drink some eggnog and just get in the Christmas spirit with my hatred for Alabama. Sorry, Alabama people. I'm just sick of it. Come on. All right. My final pick, I got to pick the UTSA game. And UTSA is a 3.5-point underdog to Western Kentucky tonight at the Alamo Dome. Shannon, that is a slap in the face of the UTSA Roadrunners. That is a slap in the face of our friend, Coach Jeff Traylor. That is a slap in the face of the fans of the Roadrunners in that Alamo Dome, saying you can't create a home field advantage to stop juggernaut, offensive, high-octane pinball machine Western Kentucky. So for all of those reasons, I'm like Colonel William Barrett Travis at the Alamo, drawing a line in the sand. Come on. I am pulling for the UTSA Roadrunners. I am picking Coach Jeff Traylor and the UTSA Roadrunners to defend the Alamo Dome, hopefully better than the Texans defended the Alamo in 1836, because that didn't go well. I think Santa Anna and the Mexican Army were a 3.5-point favorite over the the Texicans in 1836. Didn't go well, but they didn't have Coach Jeff Traylor or quarterback Frank Harris. So, or Sincere McCormick at running back. If they did, they would have won that game /war/battle in 1836. So give me UTSA, Shannon, and I get 3.5 points. Thank you, Las Vegas. UTSA to beat Western Kentucky at the Alamo Dome tonight. Those are our picks. Shannon, go ahead.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay.
Like it a lot. Shall we recap?
Thank you. I do
college?
believe it. Yeah, why not?
Chris says UTSA plus 3.5 against Western Kentucky
Birds
tonight. He's also got Georgia minus 6.5 versus Bama and OSU minus 5.5 versus Baylor. I too have OSU minus 5.5 Baylor, as well as Georgia at minus 6.5 versus Bama, and Oregon at plus 2.5 versus Utah. Someone did note on our video that Utah did beat up on Oregon. I don't expect Cam Rising to play as well as he did in that previous game, and I think Oregon, just like we talked about a little while ago with Coach A, when teams meet up again, you kind of have to give a bit of an edge to the loser of that first game, because they will be making adjustments. So that's why I'm going with Oregon. There it is, our college picks for this week. And now it's time for NFL Films music to play, because it's time for our NFL picks of the week.
The National Football League. Shannon, kick us off here. Take us into big boy football.
All right. This game used to be a little more intriguing than what it is right now. I'm talking Ravens and Steelers. It's apparently the 15th match between Harbaugh and Tomlinson, because I think they're like two of the longest tenured coaches currently in the league. Obviously, they're division rivals, but Pittsburgh at 5-5-1, Baltimore at 8-3. It doesn't look good for the Steelers this season. Baltimore favored by 4.5. I like that, especially when you have this guy named Justin Tucker on your side. I know that line's a little bit more than a field goal, but I think they've got the upper hand in this one. So I'm going to take the Ravens at that minus 4.5 against the Steelers.
And that game's at Pittsburgh, Shannon, at Heinz Field. This could be the farewell to the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger as we know them, because Steelers are 5-5-1 coming in. They never finish under 500. Well, you lose that game in your house, you're going to be 5-6-1. They'll be staring at a possible losing season this year for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Yeah, that's a big one. And I agree with you. That's a good pick. Ravens a much better team. Steelers kind of in disarray. Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, going to join us. So I'm going to pick the Texans game. Texans are hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Shannon, the Colts are a 10-point favorite. As you and I often discuss, 10 points in the NFL, that's a big spread. And I know Houston is down and Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor, they look very, very formidable. But I think Houston in their house are going to play better and inspired, and I think 10 is too big. If this were a 9-point spread, I might not touch it, but you go to double digits in honor of Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, who joins us in just a few minutes. Give me the Texans plus 10 over the Indianapolis Colts.
Very bold of you, sir, to pick a team that lost to the Jets and Zach Wilson just last weekend. But okay. Yeah. Go Texans, go. My second game here this week, I'm going to stick in the NFC East. We've got the Raiders playing Washington. As we've discussed, the Washington football team is on the hunt to do whatever they can to catch up to the Cowboys. Cowboys lose to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. I think if the Raiders can beat the Cowboys, then they certainly should be able to handle Washington. That line is currently -1, so all I've got to do is pick the winner here. I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders.
See, I picked that game as well, Shannon, but I pick Washington, and I get the 1 point. I just think I think the Raiders got lucky to beat the Cowboys. They got a lot of penalties that A, the Cowboys committed, and B, the referees questionably called against the Cowboys. I think Washington, led by Ron Rivera, a very, very good coach. Washington has won a few games lately. I think they're on a bit of a roll. I think Washington feels they have new life, even though the Cowboys won. I think Washington would have been even more motivated had the Cowboys lost last night. But I think Washington's playing better football right now. So give me Washington plus the 1 point. It'll be interesting. You and I differ on this one. We'll see who's right and who's wrong on that one.
All right. I don't like that for you or for me.
I know.
But
I may go 0-3 on these picks. Yes.
Yeah, and I just, if you want to throw some, distraction in there, the RG3 thing, I'm sure that won't be discussed at all during the Washington broadcast this weekend. All right, my final pick, I'm of course heading to Monday night. New England Patriots take on the Buffalo Bills. I think it's a battle for that division, a battle for the number 1 seed in the AFC. It's going to be determined on Monday night, and the Bills currently favored by -2.5. I've got to take Josh Allen over MJ10, as he's wanting to be known, Mr. Mac Jones. I think the Patriots have gone on a nice little run, but I think the Bills go ahead and stop it here. I'm going to take them -2.5 against the Patriots.
Well, you and I picking a lot of the same games this week. I am picking that game as well. What a great Monday night game. What a capper to the long weekend, college and pro and high school football playoffs. Bill, something's going on in New England. That android cyborg quarterback, Mac Jones / MJ10, he gets better every week. Buffalo has been disappointing throughout much of this season. New England comes in with a half-game lead. You mentioned Buffalo, a 2.5-point favorite. I think Bill Belichick is going to break the hearts of the Buffalo fan base. Give me the evil Bill Belichick and his non-human cyborg quarterback now getting cocky, copywriting MJ10, Mac Jones. I just got a feeling New England that Bill Belichick in New England say, hey, man, we're the Patriots. How dare all of you thinking we would not be here after Tom Brady left? We differ again, Shannon. Give me the evil empire, the New England Patriots, +2.5 over the Buffalo Bills.
All right, there you have it. To recap, Chris going with MJ10 and the Patriots against JA17 and the Bills. He's taking Patriots +2.5. I'm taking the Bills at -2.5. Chris taking Washington at +1 against the Raiders. I'm taking Raiders at -1 against Washington. Chris also has the Texans at +10 versus the Colts, and I'm taking the Ravens at -4.5 against the Steelers.
Very cool. Those are your picks. We do post those on social media so that you can track them throughout the weekend, and you can praise us on Monday morning or throughout the weekend, or you can mock and humiliate us, me in particular, for some of those picks. In fact, Shannon, Jason Paniagua, who's watching us on the live video feed on YouTube this morning, says that Chris's lack of sleep is affecting his picks, it seems. So not a lot of confidence among our listeners / viewers for my picks, which is bad news for UTSA, Shannon, because I'm picking UTSA.
Yeah.
But that is, yeah, Paul Alexander, you brought this up, and you brought it up in relation to Oregon versus Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. And I say it a lot. It's hard to beat a team twice. If that team's a good team, even if you're a good team, in college and pro football, it's hard to beat a team twice. And in the NFL, in a division, when a team beats their division rival twice during the regular season and you wind up facing them in the playoffs, it's almost impossible. And historically in the NFL, a lot of times that third game goes to the team that had lost the previous two. So given that, Shannon, I think UTSA has its work cut out for them tonight at the Alamo Dome. But I have faith. I have faith in the triangle of toughness. I have faith in Jeff Traylor. I have faith in that entire UTSA football team. And I have faith in the fans packing that Alamo Dome and being a force of nature and a home field advantage tonight for the UTSA Roadrunners.
Oh, yeah. When do we start tailgating? Immediately after the show?
Oh, yeah. We're heading to the parking lot. We'll be there by about 9:30 with the kegs.
Perfect.
And we'll be drinking heavily. Yeah. Very cool. There's some MJ for you. That's not MJ10. That's MJ Jackson, Michael Jackson. I wonder if Mac Jones will start wearing a little white glove with sequins on it.
Oh, God.
I mean, he should wear a Michael Jordan.
Too, right?
Yeah. He should wear a Michael Jordan jersey and a Michael Jackson white glove, and he should do the moonwalk and say, I'm MJ10, everybody. Hey, you could program him for that because he is an android. He's a robot.
That's right.
I'm just saying, it's my theory. All right. Coming up, the voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer, and I picked the Texans with the 10 points over Indianapolis on Sunday. Don't go anywhere. Mark Vandermeer rocks. He is next on the Chris Duel Show. The chair is not my son. It's an actual lyric from that song. Christopher Summers mocks us for picking against the Baylor Bears. I need to do a weekend video for Bud Light. And I need the tripod for it. That's why I moved that camera a little bit. Why I have my beer in the studio. So that I can do this. Let's see here. Let's lower that. Let's get the tripod ready. I need my phone. Did I mention that I slept 2 hours and 56 minutes last night, according to Fitbit? Yeah. That's what a Spurs West Coast broadcast will do to you. Okay. So yeah, every weekend I just do a little weekend video. And I'm going to shoot that now because after the show, I am going to take a nap with my 2 hours and 56 minutes of sleep because I am so darn tired. Let's see here. Oh, I know. I want to get like the all of the sports peeps in this shot. I need a beer. There's a beer. I'll even leave that music in the background. That way I'll have a musical accompaniment on this one, which is kind of a first. Let's see. Be right about there. It's gonna work. I think that'll work. Okay.
At LASIK Plus, we literally have thousands of 5-star.
Christopher Smith from Nairobi, Kenya. How cool is that? Now, I'm not going to do this if there's a LASIK commercial.
Are you Sarah_34? Yeah. I'm from LASIK Plus.
Going to see if this goes away after this commercial. If it doesn't,
Oh, they were great. I got a customized treatment plan, and they just made it.
you remember about Mark, how he wants to call just before he goes on? And you've got that song. Did you get that song, Creedence Clearwater Revival? Beautiful. You rock. Okay, I was going to use this background music for the video, but now commercials are coming through. That doesn't always happen. So I'm going to wait till the end of the spot, and if not, okay. There's not a commercial there, so I better do this quickly. Let's see. We're rolling. Hey, Chris here, wishing you an incredible football weekend. Oh, my goodness gracious. All of the conference championship games. Of course, we wish Texas were in the Big 12 championship game. They will be next year. So Oklahoma State, Baylor. Yeah, we'll watch that. Alabama, Georgia. Will Georgia annihilate Alabama? And it all culminates with the college football playoff rankings, which will be revealed on Sunday. So much great football to watch over the weekend. College football and pro football, NFL on Sunday, and Monday night, Bills versus the Patriots. I hope you enjoy it all. I know I will, and I'll be enjoying it with the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light. It's America's favorite lager. It's my favorite beer. It goes really, really good with football. So this Bud's for you. Enjoy the incredible college and pro football all weekend long. And as always, please enjoy responsibly. Done. Woo! Woo! And I got a musical soundtrack on that one. Who knew? Woo! 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 Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, who is always an outstanding guest. He joins us in a sec. Sam Tobias says, drinking on the job is unlikely of you, Chris. Oh, I'm glad you think so highly of me with beer in the studio. Not so much for Mike Taylor. I always tell the story. I met a guy in New Orleans when I was there for the Super Bowl. It was Brady's first Super Bowl. It was Patriots-Rams. And but he had an afternoon radio show in New Orleans, and they had lots of beer and alcohol sponsors, and he was not only allowed but encouraged to drink, go a little higher, to drink during his afternoon show. In fact, and he described it to me, and I listened. The going thing was the listeners would call in to talk to him, and I forget what his name was. He's a Facebook friend. I'll have to find him. They go, yeah, Bob, calling into the show. I want to talk about the Saints. Pour me an ice cold Budweiser. And they'd have sound effects of, drinks being poured, and he'd be right there drinking with them. That's a good gig if you can get it. Talk sports on the radio while you're drinking in the afternoon. That's why I enjoyed the afternoon. I wasn't drinking in the afternoon, but I enjoyed I'm more of an afternoon person than a morning person. So I am operating on caffeine almost exclusively here. Let me find my Houston Texans. On the screen. You can't see him, but in fact, let me see if I... Says my audio went out when I did that. Jeremy is calling Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans right now. Here we come. Mark Vandermeer, everybody. As my headphones are tangled. Born on a Bayou, CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. The perfect intro song to Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans. Why do I know it's the perfect intro song to Mark Vandermeer of the Houston Texans? Because he chose it. That's why. That's why it's always perfect. Mark Vandermeer, how you doing this morning?
I'm driving by a bayou, and that's how I chose the song. This is the Bayou City, which a lot of people don't realize. Houston is also called the Bayou City. Some even Houstonians are surprised when I tell them that. But, when I first moved here 20 years ago, because, Chris, I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could in the state of Texas, in this great land of ours. I was like, what's the nickname of Houston? They said, the Bayou City. I said, okay, let's run with that. So here we are.
And I have to say this, Mark, I'm bummed out that a week ago we did not do a Friday show because it was the Friday after Thanksgiving. Had we done that Friday show, Shannon and I would be celebrating a outstanding gritty win by the Houston Texans at Tennessee against the Titans, 22-13. So before we touch briefly on the game against the Jets last week and look ahead to the Colts coming up on Sunday, let's go back 2 weekends and tell us a little bit, as you called the game in Nashville, how the Texans were able to just come away with that great win, 22-13, against a very, very good Tennessee Titans team.
Well, it was a deluge, right? And I think that helped things because Ryan Tannehill had problems throwing the football that day. And he said, no problem. It wasn't the rain. It wasn't a factor. But the Texans had 5 takeaways, and 4 of them were interceptions off Tannehill. And they played well enough against the run. And, again, no Derrick Henry for the Titans. But look what they did. They ran the ball well last week at New England. They got a lot of yards. But, again, they had turnover problems, and that killed them in Foxborough. So the Texans took advantage of those turnovers, still had problems scoring. I mean, there's no question this team is so offensively challenged. They had the 2 Tyrod Taylor rushing touchdowns in that game. They had 2 passing touchdowns last week against the Jets. The difference in these 2 games, against the Jets, they only got 1 takeaway. And the way they're playing offensively now, which is not good enough, they need more than 1 takeaway. They need a lot of takeaways. They might need the defense to score until they get their act together on offense and find a way to put points on the board, which has been a big challenge for them. And it's too bad because I know they work hard. They're trying their best. They've got some weapons, but it's just not put together the way they need it to right now. And that's kind of disappointing. It's very disappointing. I mean, what am I saying? It's 2 wins on the season. But, yes, the victory over the Titans in Nashville was so sweet. It was great to get on that plane after beating those guys.
Well, and with that victory and then looking ahead on the schedule to see the Jets, they were both teams at 2-8 at the time. You probably thought that one should be a win, right? I mean, Zach Wilson not playing that well. It is the Jets after all. They have all that Rex Ryan versus the head coach of the Jets, their beef going on. Bit of a distraction. The Texans should easily win that one. They lose 21-14, and now they play another division rival in the Colts. Colts favored by 10, even with this game being at home for the Texans at NRG. Chris has the Texans picked here at +10. I think that's a lot of faith going into that. I truly just don't see it. But your thoughts on this weekend's matchup?
Okay, so the Jet game, you're right, Shannon, that you look at that, you say, well, this is winnable, right? You should win this game, but should is a word that should not exist in the NFL because we all see it every week, right? And the Jets beat the Titans before, and they beat Cincinnati right after Cincinnati blew out Baltimore in Baltimore. So they are capable. They've got some guys up front that could do some damage, and they did. And I just think the Texans, no matter who they beat and who's next week on the schedule, and this goes for all teams, really. You can't assume anything in this league, and they didn't handle it well. The Jets were still able to get enough yardage, enough key plays to beat Houston, and it was a real disappointment. Now, here you have Indianapolis, and Chris, I love you for picking this. And I know it's against the spread, so that's good. You get 10 points to work with here. If you look at the last game, you look at the final score, 31-3. Well, that's a total blowout. They were never in it. They were in this game. But again, offensively, it was too much of a problem. They only put 3 points on the board. But it's 10-3 at the half, and the Colts had one big play in the first half. Texans have been cutting down on big plays, and, they know that Jonathan Taylor is the key here. They got to slow him down,
Carson Wentz has been playing much better. I know everybody looks at the ridiculous left-handed interception at the goal line and another interception at the goal line, but he hasn't really thrown that many interceptions. Had one late in the loss to the Bucs last week. That was a Hail Mary pick. He's actually been playing much better. He can be strip sacked. You can get to him. Maybe you can rattle him. I don't know. This defense is much better than people think. Let's see if they can get after it, get a win, or at least get close.
He is Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans. He will have the call at high noon on Sunday as the Texans host the Colts at NRG Stadium. And Mark, you bring up Jonathan Taylor, and it seems as though as the season goes forward, Jonathan Taylor just seems to be getting stronger and stronger and stronger. How do you think, what are some of the things you think the Texans are going to attempt to do to try to slow him down on Sunday?
Saying that Taylor is the league's leading rusher, and last year he had Derrick Henry doing everything he did. And the AFC South, which came into existence when the Texans joined the league back in 2002, I look at the history of this division, and now it's all of a sudden running back you. You know, you have Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. Now the other two teams, ETN has obviously never seen the field for Jacksonville yet, but it'll be interesting to see him. Texans, they don't have their guy yet. Let's just be clear on that as far as running backs go. But that running backs are kind of driving the division right now is really interesting to me. I know it's still a quarterback league, but this is kind of a throwback thing. And Jonathan Taylor is a throwback kind of guy. You know, he gets the tough yardage. He's not Derrick Henry, but he's kind of like Derrick Henry with fewer carbohydrates or whatever. Able to catch the ball, which Henry can. I mean, Henry is a supremely talented guy, and I think he's the MVP if he's in there. But Taylor's getting MVP consideration. And if I'm the Derrick Henry crew, I'm saying, hey, what about me last year? Look what I did for my squad. I digress. It's going to be hard. You know, you can send a lot of people after Jonathan Taylor, but then Wentz is going to find a way to beat you maybe with play action or whatever. They have enough guys. They've got T.Y. Hilton. You know, he always seems to be healthy for the Texans. Always seems to be able to rise to the occasion. Last time out, he came in, made a big play, and then exited the game after a while, but he still finds a way to make his presence known against this franchise. It's going to be very difficult, but one thing I like about division games is nobody's scared of anybody in their division. I don't care how good the teams are. In the AFC East, all those years that the Patriots dominated, nobody was scared of them from the other teams. They just couldn't beat them. But they usually gave them a better game than other teams would because they weren't frightened. They know them well, and they would play them close, ultimately lose, because everybody in the AFC East is sub 500 since the Patriots began their run back in 2001.
Mark, earlier this week, the Texans had to cancel practice on Wednesday due to so many under-the-weather players. What kind of wrench will this throw into their preparation for this week? And is there a possibility that some players won't even make it because they're still feeling under the weather?
I think that's possible. We'll know more today. It is definitely a thing. Now, you could say that if they come out of it and they feel really fresh by, say, today, tomorrow, then, you know, maybe a week of rest did you some good. You know, maybe you know enough mentally in the game plan where you can execute and you're fresher than you would think. You know, here we are, week 12. Look, there comes a time, and I think it's next week, where you can't use pads anymore at all. I believe the Steelers were in pads for one practice this week. I'm sure other teams were as well. But teams are throttling down on that kind of thing because of the wear and tear. So maybe a little rest will do them some good, some of the guys who are ill. I find it interesting that they don't have COVID positives. It's just illness, you know, it's just flu, cold, whatever. You know, other stuff is going around. We can talk about immunology all day and, you know, the factors weighing in. But I think that football-wise, it's got to be a factor, right? But hopefully guys are feeling much better today. The guys who are ill today, tomorrow, they can be ready for game time because, look, you only have 6 of these left. Make the most of it before the offseason because it's very important to everybody. We have so many people here who are on 1- and 2-year deals, and you know that they want to show out. You know, everybody does. I always say this. It's in the best interest of everyone's career to win. Now, some people say, well, don't you want a good draft choice? Yeah, but tell that to the people who are organizing game plans and playing. They don't think of it that way. They want to win. So let's see if they can put together a good performance for Sunday.
voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer. Mark, you brought up Tyrod Taylor earlier when we were talking about his gritty performance in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. Twice in that game, just tucking the ball, running into the end zone, willing himself into the end zone, willing the Houston Texans to victory. Here's a guy who was a starter at Buffalo, looked like he was going to be a starter with the Chargers, and then the unfortunate medical incident with the medical staff, and now here he is with the Texans. Do you think Tyrod Taylor, with these remaining games, has an opportunity to really make his case, no matter what the draft pick is coming up next spring, that he could be the long-term, but maybe an extended term quarterback for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a hot topic on talk radio here in town, Chris, because you wonder, Taylor has to play better, right? They all have to play better. They have to execute offensively, because if he doesn't, you have to wonder if the return to Davis Mills is a possibility here, only because you're about to go into an offseason where you hope to have extra draft choices. You hope to be able to make the Watson deal. And then the question is, what's the quarterback situation? Do you need to draft a quarterback early at all? Is Mills the guy? Look, you have 6 games left. It's going to be Taylor Sunday. Take it from there. Is it possible we see Davis Mills again if Taylor struggles? I would say yes, because, again, you want to be able to evaluate him after having some rest now and being able to watch. And is he going to play better? Because I don't know if you can make that call based on what you've seen already from Davis Mills. I know they like Davis Mills. They think highly of his brain, his skill set, all of that. But he's got to show it on the field. And it would be nice for him if he could show it on the field before the close of business in the regular season, so you know what you're dealing with going into the offseason. If you don't see any more of Davis Mills and Taylor is just so-so, well, the whole thing is one gigantic question mark again. I guess it's kind of always a question mark, but you want some clarity here, and it's going to be interesting. I think it's a week-to-week thing, Chris, as to how they organize their thoughts around the quarterback situation.
Going to be something certainly to keep an eye on for Houston Texans fans, certainly on Sunday and the rest of the season. And speaking of Sunday, Mark Vandermeer will have the call Sunday at noon. That means we'll bring your pregame to you at 11:30 on AM 1300 The Zone and on Ticket 760 and across the Houston Texans network as the Texans host the Indianapolis Colts at NRG Stadium in Houston. Mark Vandermeer, we will be listening on Sunday. Have a great call and go Texans.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Shannon. Chris, I hope you're right with your pick.
I got a good feeling. Thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, thanks, man. 10 points is insane and I think disrespectful, Shannon, of the Houston Texans. Do want to bring up, we talk about all the great football this weekend. Chris Gonzalez is pointing out the University of the Incarnate Word, who's having they're in their playoff run, and they're having a great football season. And you combine the records of UIW, and UIW is Division I, and UTSA, and combine them together. I mean, San Antonio is being treated to some great college football this year. UIW takes on Sam Houston tomorrow at 2, and apparently, Shannon, that game is on ESPN+. So if you're a hardcore San Antonio area football fan, or Texas, I know our Austin peeps dig good football, you could go get into UTSA versus Western Kentucky tonight and UIW versus Sam Houston tomorrow at 2. Shannon, so much football on the menu all weekend long. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then, don't forget Sunday, final college football playoff rankings come out, and then bowl games start getting announced. So it's bittersweet. It's the end of the regular season, and we move into championship season, and before you know it, it's going to be over. So enjoy it while we can.
That's a good point. I talked about the final Cowboys regular season game is on the 2nd of January. Today's the 3rd of December. That's less than a month away now. So yeah, the beautiful thing that is football this season is fleeting. Enjoy every second of it. Shannon Salty Sweeney, as always, a spectacular show, and wish your dad, Pat, a happy birthday from all of us tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it.
You too. Jeremy KOLOK, wearing your Oklahoma State hoodie. May your beloved Oklahoma State Cowboys get the big win tomorrow. Shannon and I picked them, and we will certainly be pulling for them tomorrow.
Thank you. I hope y'all put some good juju on them with your picks.
Yes. I got a good feeling. Go Pokes. Come on, Mike Gundy. I want to see Mike Gundy holding up the trophy, old cocky. That's what and I want to see, I'm a man. I'm the Big 12 champion. All right. Exactly. Thank you, Coach. Speaking of Coach, thanks to Coach A. Paul Alexander. Thanks to Mark Vandermeer. Have yourself a very safe football weekend. We'll see you on Monday morning at 6. Adios, amigos. Birds up. Excellent. Excellent punctuation with the drops all day. That was great. Woo! All right, y'all. Until next time. Let's see. Next time for me, I'm going to be on the Elf Louise Radiothon on WOAI with Bill Schoening tomorrow from 2 to 4. And then there's Spurs tomorrow night. So after the Spurs game, let's see, it's a 7:30 game. Probably just after 10 o'clock, 10:15, we'll have Spurs React online here and on 1200 WOAI. So we will see you there. If you want to join us, you're invited. Thanks for being here. For Shannon, for Jeremy, have a great weekend. And we will see you actually tomorrow and Monday. See you later. Adios.